here from Lake Pijo, surface water body located in Torres del Paine National Park in the Magallanes region of southern Chile. The lake is mainly fed by the Paine River through the Nordenskiöld Lake, but also receives water from the outlet of the Scottsburg Lake. A lot of wild guanacos graze around here. What is up, everybody? We are here today with episode number 25 of the PondCast with some massive revelations that we've been had throughout the past week. I'm, of course, your host, Yaku of the Zaku. With me today is La Bruja Adolescente que tiene tono perfecto. And as always, we are being produced by 16 Squats and Seki, Jubre Lacar Skitore Pelni Functie Promotora Examinu. Kuro of the Kuros. How are y'all doing?
What's up, Yaku? It's great to be back. Great to be here once again with a very special edition here of the podcast because, Yaku, finally the PTR is over and the patch is finally live.
The patch.
It's live.
Yeah. We all get to suffer together.
True. True. We'll get into it later. You're not wrong, Yaku. You're not wrong. Here we go. But as you were alluding to, a big week of news and a lot of things to come as well here, especially over the weekend. Very quickly here, a bit of a PSA. We'll be going into more of the details of the event later on, of course, but Home Story Cup is starting tomorrow already. We're already there.
Yeah. We thought we thought we'd never be here, but now we are. Now, I'm gonna miss yelling at Take and being passive aggressive at Take over the invites. But
Well, hey,
this is our final week that we're gonna be able to do it.
True. Yeah. Well, one last time we'll be passive aggressive to Dennis. We'll. Oh no. God damn it. But first things first, of course, we have our first round of news this week. First things first, over the past couple of weeks, we have been, I should say, seeing the fruits of Zombie Gob's labor in interviews from South Korea. We had CranKy, we had DRG, and we had another interview coming out this week.
Yeah, from quite a bit of a different perspective coming out this time. Gemini, who of course has been living in Korea for the past couple of years, is the subject of the most recent interview. An interview that I think, at least for us, I think kind of hit a little bit close to home in a couple of ways. Talking a lot about
Yeah,
I was just going to say, talking a lot about some of the old school content creators and Gemini himself taking that step into becoming a little bit more of a StarCraft content creator himself.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like the previous interviews were a little bit more focused, initially at least, about Brood War and then coming into the competitive side of SE2. But as you were saying, from at least Gemini's interview, it started things off more as a fan, of a viewer, a fan of StarCraft in the foreign scene, back playing Brood War when he was younger, and then going into the early days of the beta for Wings of Liberty and into Wings of Liberty itself, into the esports side of things. So definitely something that is a little more relatable, something that I'm sure a lot of people watching, especially old school fans, can relate to and have their own stories to tell as well. I will say though that again, this is still over 10 years ago, so I'm sure there are some people that are tuning in that weren't a part of the scene back in Wings of Liberty. So this is still, definitely a historical chronicling of the scene back then.
You say people tuning in.
Some
members of the show. I'm not gonna name any names.
True. Yaku. Yeah. But so this is also just a nice kind of like little insight into those early days of SC2 and how things were so different, how things were so much more difficult as well. So I do recommend checking it out, especially if you are newer. I mean, even if you were an older viewer of StarCraft, I do think there's definitely a little nostalgia, kind of reminiscing of times gone by, and definitely I got that nostalgic vibe going over through like the whole history of early SE2. Yeah, good.
Yeah, I'd say as somebody who has heard of the EGTL rivalry but has never actually lived through it, this was a very the way Gemini talks about it kind of brought me back. It almost felt like I was there itself. The way he described it, I was like, damn, this is huge.
Yeah, the drama with Huck as well, going from one team to the other, and like there was
The
there was so
graphic
much.
that they pulled, I kind of miss those. I remember seeing some of the old school like graphics EG used to put out. In
Mhm.
this one, they were talking about Huck joining EG after he had his whole rivalry of Idra, and then the two of them just clasping hands together. I remember a
Uh-huh.
few of the older ones they did, like when Jaedong joined, how he had like some random quotes put up.
Mhm.
Good times.
Good times, good times. Again, as always, it's one of those things where there's definitely more that they could have talked about, but they have limited time constraints, of course, and they want to make it focused as well. So, do definitely recommend it checking out the Gemini interview for the GLHF Soccer Esports Legacy YouTube channel. Again, as a reminder, these are the raw, or more or less kind of like the raw interviews, and the documentary series is still going to be constructed after the interviews get released and after it all gets put together and all gets compiled into a more, a more kind of stable
Get a
kind of
cohesive.
story.
Yeah.
Yeah, cohesive. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So check it out after you
Mhm.
finish watching this.
Mhm. Yeah, I think what I will say, especially because I haven't been able to finish the tail end of it. But it would have been cool to hear Gemini's like I mentioned this before, talking about how DRG would have been nice to have heard his return from the military and more modern legacy of the Void. It would have been cool to have heard Gemini and what happened between his his love and relationship with Hero and the entrance of Trap and what's and what
Yeah,
was
that
happening there, and how that kind of leapt over and crossed from one to the other and all that stuff. That would have been fun to
yeah,
hear for sure.
yeah, definitely would have been fun somewhere. I know he talked about it somewhere randomly in a Reddit comment or something like that, where he was like, "Oh yeah, Hero just hasn't been playing for a very long time, so I decided to become a fanboy of somebody else who is more active."
Mhm.
And that was pretty much
There
it.
you
But
go.
I agree, that would have been fun to to go
Uh-huh.
through, to like actually put him on the spot a little bit there. That would have been
For
funny.
sure. For sure, for sure. I mean, it's his thing, you know? It's
Yeah,
he's
that's what
he's
people know him for.
it's true.
Not for I know he does the wall off guides. He's
Yeah,
very
yeah.
active on all things Protoss in Discord.
Uh-huh.
He
Yep.
is the Protoss content creator,
Mhm.
but that's still
Mhm.
eclipsed by his love of Trap and Hero.
Exactly. Like everyone knows that he's gonna be Trap's he's gonna be Trap's. Wait, is Trap married already or is he getting married? He's engaged, right?
He wears a ring now, so
Okay. Yeah, he's at least
might as
engaged.
well be married.
Yeah, I was gonna say that he's gonna be Trap's best man, and if anything ever happens to Trap's wife, then we know who to question first.
Yeah.
But regardless, do check out that interview. Again, it is a great kind of insight
Yeah.
into the early days of SC2 for sure.
hmm Although I'm calling both of you out, Zombie Grub and Gemini, even though you're technically correct, I know you ain't talking shit about my boy alive.
True, mate.
Even though you're technically correct, he's my boy. He hasn't been active in a while, but still.
He hasn't. He hasn't. There's a couple of players near and dear to our
Oh.
hearts. Okay, patience is another one as well. Okay, watch yourselves with what you say. But yeah. So do definitely check it out. And again, more interviews to come in the future. Up next, we have a creator. A creator is has recently announced that he is looking for a new team.
Yeah, Creator was another one of he was on another one of those teams that were
Mhm.
picking up players for the Esports World Cup specifically, and we kind of had the tail end, or we kind of had the expiration of a lot of those contracts come out in the past couple of weeks, and yeah, now I feel like we're seeing the final one. I feel like I said this about Gumiho and Cloud9, but
Mhm.
now with Creator and it was Blacklist. Let me double check
Mhm.
this real quick. Yep, Creator
Yeah.
and Blacklist International. Now we're actually at the tail end, or now we actually have the final EWC contract being let go.
Yeah, it's one of those things where obviously all these players they got picked up because of EWC, and because we have yet to get any confirmation of the next EWC and the structure and how they're gonna actually incorporate SC2. A lot of these players are being let go. In saying that, what I will say, once the next season of EBT and once EWC gets announced and confirmed for SC2, and I want to believe that will happen. There's not as much hope in there and more certainty, at least from my side. Once that does happen, then I'm sure teams will be once again incentivized to pick up players once again. It'll look kind of weird, right? Like it'll look kind of
Yeah.
weird, like if we see like I don't know, like Virtus Pro pick up Estrella again, and it's like like no hard feelings. But at least some of the teams did kind of have that kind of out. I think it was Navi, right? I think Navi
Mhm.
when they let Spirit go, technically like in their announcement, I think they said that they're putting their SC2 roster on hiatus or something, or
Yeah.
it's going on a break. Like again, they themselves kind of left the door open for like potential future pickups.
Yep. It's like they weren't specifically saying that they were disbanding. It's just,
Mhm.
we're gonna freeze it for the time being on hiatus, as you said. Just
Mhm.
asset freeze, I think is. I've been looking into business terms recently to make
Uh-huh.
myself seem more adult, but I think that's what it's
Okay.
called.
Yeah,
Division
yeah. At least,
freeze, something
uh-huh.
freeze.
Yeah, at least until like things get announced. So it's one of those things where once that does happen, I'm sure a lot of these players will be picked up once again. We're still just waiting for that big announcement.
Yeah. So you know what, team owners, once again, if you're out there looking for a top Protoss player from Korea, Crater's a free agent now.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. He's an amazing player as well. Up next, we do have the Bellum Gens Elite. I always stumble trying to say the name of this. the Star Segura. They of course did host the offline
Kara?
event, but now looks like they're hosting a more regular event for their own region.
Yeah, the Balkan Online League is, as you said, going to be specifically a regional event for players from the Balkans. It's going to be a weekly online event similar to, and this bring us back a couple of years ago. If you remember the ESL Dare Cups, that was specifically for
Mm-hmm.
Southeast Asia and Oceania. This is what
Mm-hmm.
Bellum Zagora is planning to
Uh
do for the Balkan region. I can already imagine Goblin just scooping things up, scooping it up.
huh. Yeah, it's really cool that they're going to be hosting that more regional weekly. Again, it definitely is healthy for the region, for the scene, considering that they themselves are going to be funding their own offline major international event. It makes sense that they want to foster their local talent, especially considering I
Mhm.
believe that for that offline event they do actually invite or have qualifiers specifically for their own region as well. So just to raise the overall skill level of that region makes sense if they're going to take part in those tournaments. So overall, it's I would say a really good initiative and really exciting for things to come, especially for that region.
Yeah, Balkans and Germany, two regions that I didn't really have on my bingo card for 2025 as being the ones to really go to another level. I mean, Germany already was pretty strong as a region when it comes to SC2, but really stepping up more of their local efforts, I think, is what I'm the two regions that I didn't really have that I didn't really expect to really step up in the way that they have. But
Yeah.
it's cool to see it.
Yeah, in two very different ways, right? You have one that's more, funded by the government itself in a way, but
True.
you also
Yeah.
have, like Gabe in Germany, hosting more events. You got For Jumi hosting more events. Like the German scene is definitely, and Take TV as well hosting
Mhm.
more events recently as well that we have been covering. So yeah, it's been really cool to see Germany step it up, especially because they've been such a big region big kind of region in SC2 for a long time, and it feels like there haven't been enough events in Germany despite that, right? I remember the Leipzig boys, they used to
True.
host events back in the day, but like yeah,
Yeah,
it
Phoenix
didn't
was
feel
a
like
part of that.
it wasn't as regular as it should have been, I feel. Yeah.
Yeah. But with that final ooh,
Mhm.
hopefully it is. And yeah, we know for a fact that at least this one is going to be going into effect. And I believe it's planned to last until the offline finals that are taking place in June of next year, if I remember correctly.
Oh, okay. So it goes from one into the other. So definitely keep an eye on those weeklies. Up next, we have the Masters Coliseum number 8. A lot of people were doom and gloom when we heard the news last week, of course, that that WTL was coming to an end for the near future, at least, for the foreseeable future. There are no more WTLs, which was again just really heartbreaking to hear. But they did emphasize that they were still going to be focusing on regular offline events or individual league events, I should emphasize, and looks like this is something at least that they were alluding to.
Yeah, Masters Coliseum once again going to be gracing us They're going to be gracing us once again, at least the offline. Wait, I'm stopping myself for a second here. I'm stopping myself because I feel like my mouth is going faster than my brain. But what I'm trying to get at is Masses Coliseum, if
Mhm,
you'll recall, is something that SC Boy does host quite regularly,
mhm,
typically towards the end of the year. This year, in fact, we had a Masses Coliseum leading up into IEM Katowice.
mhm,
But of course, the major difference there was that one was entirely online, and
mhm.
then later on, we had Stars Wars, which
Yes.
was the offline event. This one, they haven't announced anything big yet, but I would be very surprised if they didn't have at least the playoffs or at least the finals be offline for this particular iteration of Masters Coliseum.
Yeah, I mean, as you're alluding to, like, if you remember, typically Master Coliseum would be at the end of the WTL season, right? Remember, each season of
Mhm.
WTL would give you points, and that would allow you to be seeded in and invited into Masters Coliseum at the end of the season. So, we don't have, a final World Team League season of this for this year for 2024, but at least we still have that Masters Coliseum. And as you mentioned, that was also one of the things that SC Boy did mention, how they were quite successful with Stars War 11. They were quite successful with the Big Lulu Cup. So they are looking to host more offline events. I'm not too sure if this is going to be one of them, but they did kind of allude that they wanted to do another Stars War 11 next year, for example. We don't have confirmation, but like events like that once again. So definitely something to look forward to, and it's great to just see another Massive Coliseum again here. Once again confirming that SC Boy, even though they're not hosting WTL anymore, they still very much so are willing to and want to host events.
Yeah. In whatever the capacity they have or they can.
Mhm. For sure, for sure. And as always for Master Coliseum, we're going to be casting. We're going to be casting the
Mhm.
qualifiers. We're going to be casting the main event here on the channel. So if you want to tune in, if you want to stay up to date with Master Coliseum, we got you covered here on the CranKy Ducklings.
Indeed. So stay tuned for those. Going to be coming in. Well, the qualifiers at least going to be coming up next month.
Mhm. There you go. Meanwhile, up next, we do have Home Story Cup. Home Story
Yes.
Cup. If you remember, we assumed that the invites were done, that it was locked in, and we were very upset with Dennis and very upset with Take. But no, we are wrong. There are still these final invites that have been announced.
Indeed. We're going to be bringing the total to, I believe, 32 if my math checks out.
Mhm.
Yeah, 32 players with these final 4 invites. So, first and foremost, we were kind of teased last week with that little Korean flag that we were going to get at least one more Korean player. And we have, first player up right here, the replacement man himself, the big tuna, Ryung, going to be joining Home Story Cup.
Let us go. Ryung, he is going to be there. Not just Ryung, but I believe Ryung alongside, we'll get into the invites. We have Ryung, we have Baby Marine as well, the Italian Terran player. He's
Yeah.
going to be there alongside his brother, alongside. Okay.
Oh.
Sorry, the audio was destroying my ear. But alongside, for the very first time in Homestuck Cup history, he has since eluded Dennis for so many years. Maru is going to be there as well.
Indeed, this was just announced last night, and I honestly couldn't believe it myself. I mean, Maru has avoided Home Story Cup for such a long time, but now finally, he is going to be landing down. He is going to be at Krefeld, and he is going to be participating and joining in on the shenanigans going on there.
There we go. We have Maru, of course. We have the final player as well, Geralt, the Polish Protoss player, of course. He is going to be there with his mustache. Probably not, but regardless, he's going to be there at Home Story Cup. Great to see him there. And as you mentioned, when it comes to Ryung and Maru, I wonder if maybe there's only one reason why they went. I'm curious because I don't know if you've been following them on social media, but
I
recently they were already in Europe. They were in Paris or in France.
I was following them, and they returned to Korea 2 days ago, and so it's
Oh.
like now they have to fly back again all the way.
I don't know if they all did or if only Crank did, maybe.
Yeah, from my understanding,
okay.
From my understanding, I think only Crank did, which is a
Well,
shame that he didn't go with his boys.
all 3 of them were in that picture, so I assume
uh-huh.
that they all returned to Korea.
For sure, for sure. But yeah, like I was gonna say that it makes sense because they were already in France to go from France to Germany, right? That would kind of logistically it would make sense to be a little bit cheaper as well. So I wonder if that's one of the reasons why they were invited and that helped when it comes to them being invited or not. It's hard to say, but yeah, it is gonna be a historic moment here because Maru, he has never been to a home story cup before. He's going for the first time.
Yeah.
My in
Yeah,
my
absolutely.
head, in my head, Vitality was like, Maru, you are going. We're gonna pay for you to come to Paris. You are going to Home Story Cup.
Yeah, they went to Paris and see because he thought it was just gonna be whatchamacallit, like a content kind of thingy, or like a what's the thing I'm thinking of here? Like where it's like, sometimes the team owner just wants the players together in one area for for like a weekend or something, and then he thought that was gonna be it. But when he got there, they actually strapped him into the chair. They said,
Uh-huh.
they said, we're not letting you leave until you play in Home Story Cup.
You're saying Maru, he's like when you have your these kids and they go into a trip and their parents tell them, oh no, yeah, we're going to Disneyland today, we're going to Disneyland, and then they lock the doors and then they go to like the dentist
The
or something.
dentist, yeah.
They're like, no, something's wrong, where are we going, something's wrong, we're not going in the right direction.
It's like, wait a minute. Why? I didn't realize that you could take a train all the way back to Korea. Why aren't we going to the
Oh, no.
airport? Oh.
Yeah. Mario's like, this is kind of weird.
You
Why
just
we- why we
passed the
going to
airport.
Why are we going to the train, guys? What's going on? The door's locked. What's oh no. What's happening? But yes, they have since smuggled Maru to Germany.
Yep, without his knowledge. Do you think they made this announcement without Maru knowing that he was gonna be there?
It's possible. It's
Like,
possible.
he wakes up and he's like, "Oh, we're home already," and then he's like, "Wait,
Uh-huh.
what is this place?"
Oh no.
Yeah,
Why
but-
do I smell kebabs? What's happening?
Oh.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but it's really cool. I feel like there's just this list of players who, for whatever reason, just never. And it's not like they didn't. And it's not like Take didn't want them to come. It's just that for whatever reason they just, never took up the offer. I know another huge player who, for a very long time, except for Home Story Cup 20, was Juanito Special. And he just refused to go to Home Story Cup over and over and over again until Home Story Cup 20, when TY had visa issues, and he literally begged Juanito to go in his place. And he's like, "You got to do it for me, my brother."
For sure. And it finally happened here as well. We finally get Maru as well. Quickly going over the entirety of the invited players. We do apparently have our still 24. I think we might have had like 20 last time or so, as we were trying to piece it all together. But no, we do have our list of players. We have for Protoss, Nightmare, DNS, Geralt, Hearthstone, for Jumi, Mana, Showtime, Skillus, Veteran, Clem, Baby Marine, Battle Bee, Gumiho, Hero Marine, Kalazur, Maru, Moja, Ryung, Spirit, and for Zerg we have Laser, Fiant, Lambo, Mixu, Raynor, and Cyril.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
It was 24 the last time we counted.
I thought so as well.
It literally was. We counted it was 24. Yeah. Now we're counting it and it's 24 again?
Did they get rid of some players? Am I crazy?
They didn't. Wait. They can't have. Because if they did, then that would be. Because if they did, then there would have been no.
Yeah, I'm counting the current list. I mean, maybe. I think so. Don't do math on stream.
Can I?
I'd have to check the VOD. I'd have to check the VOD for the PondCast because we did count and we did state how many players there were. So I don't. Yeah. It's hard to say.
Because if they remove players, then it would have been an announcement. But these are no players have been removed. But
yeah,
did they merge?
It's fine. It's fine. So we have our 24 players here. We have our 24, and yeah, it is gonna be definitely some exciting stuff.
7 the last time we counted.
It was okay,
last week.
We'll check the VOD and then we'll correct it next time. Don't worry. We'll find out what happened. But yeah, so we have our 24 players here, and Basically, it feels like since the last Home Story Cup, Taiki has answered the prayers of the people. If you remember, the one of the biggest criticisms of Home Story Cup 25 was the lackluster lineup. That was a big criticism just because we're missing so many players. Specifically, there was no Rainer and there was no Cyril, right? Which was kind of weird because they're both, native to the region, to Europe, and none of them were involved, of course. Of course, Cyril had to deal with his military service, so there was reason for that. But likewise, they weren't a part of it. There was Clem, but yeah, it felt a little bit strange not having either Rainer or Cyril or some other Korean Zerg representation, like Solo, for example, has also been at Home Story Cup for a lot of time. So that was a big criticism for the last Home Story Cup. Clearly, though, they've answered that call.
Are they gaslighting us?
Uh-huh.
There should be 32. Anyway, yes. Yeah, it was just unfortunate in the last Home Story Cup that a lot of top-level Zerg players weren't able to be involved for whatever reason. As you mentioned, Cyril, he had his military. Rainer himself, I think he mentioned that he was focused more. He wanted to dedicate more time to like grinding and practice as opposed to playing a Home Story Cup, since this was just before the WC and whatnot. Now that you mentioned it, there was no Lambo there for reasons that I wasn't quite able to figure out. I'm not quite able to speculate. And yeah, now that you mention it, I was almost certain last week after we got teased with that Korean flag that Solar would be invited here. But yeah, I guess look, we have enough Zerg already, so I support getting Ryung and Maru in over Solar. Sorry, Solar, but maybe you shouldn't have left Team Vitality.
That's the sad truth. Is I think if he was still in the team, I think he would have been there. Not gonna lie. I think you hit the nail on the head on that one, mate. So that's very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. But regardless, it is a hefty lineup here. More importantly, if you recall, something that we did assume, and the assumption came to fruition, if you remember, was when the patch would go live. If you remember, we had assumed that it would be either the mid or the end of November before Home Story Cup. Home Story Cup is in a couple of days.
And we were technically right.
Yeah.
Literally the week of Home Story Cup.
Cutting it close. Definitely cutting it close on that one, but it was before Home Story Cup. So Home Story Cup is going to be the first big major event on the new map pool and on the new patch as well. So that is definitely something exciting to look forward to. What I'm the most excited for, something that we did mention in the past couple of weeks, is we have had very, very little Zerg representation in the PTR tournaments, mainly from Korean Zerg players like Shin, Dark, and Solar, even then Solar less so, but they have been competing, that is true. But if you remember, I think we checked last week when we saw Lambo playing a show match, Lambo hadn't touched the game since September. Laser, likewise, hasn't been competing. Rainer and Cyril, they haven't been competing as well. Outside of, I think they had that
Eva
one.
has been competing, but he's been competing as Protoss.
True. Rainer and Cyril, I think they had that one like Basilisk show match as well, but like nothing, like no other major events, no online tournaments, no PTR events. So because of that, there has been definitely just a lacking amount, or just barely any amount of data covering ZVTs and ZVPs on the PTR. So I feel like a lot of eyes are going to be on this tournament to have a look at see like how Zerg is going to adapt and how they compare and how they shape up in the new patch.
Yeah, as you were mentioning, those big names that haven't really been competing, they are going to be at Home Story Cup. Laser, Lambo, Cyril, and Rainer, all four of them are going to be there. Yeah. So,
and even though they haven't been competing, hopefully they've been practicing. Hopefully they've been playing some custom games and they're aware of what they're getting into. Fingers crossed on that one. Fingers crossed.
I can confirm that Lambo has been doing some custom games in the past week or so.
Yeah, true.
So the other three, no comfort. I haven't been able to. They haven't streamed, so I'm not able to really tell.
We cannot confirm or deny, but that is going to be definitely a big part of the upcoming event. Is how they perform, is how they adjust to the new patch. Speaking of the new patch, now we can jump right on in.
Indeed, we can. So,
actually, hold on.
Changes since the last time we.
Do we want to do predictions for the group stage at Home Story Cup, or is it too much?
We could. I mean, it's happening
Yeah,
tomorrow.
let's go. Yeah, let's go. Let's get into it.
I need to open the bracket again.
Yeah, all good, all good. So for those that are curious, we are going to be casting the Home Story Cup. We're going to be the
Warped,
B stream here on the CranKy Ducklings. We're going to be casting alongside, of course, the main stream as well. And looking at the group stage is brutal. It is a round robin group stage, and only top 2 make it out.
2, 4, and that's 6 players in each group. So.
Oh yeah, that's math.
That's math. 6 times 4, that's 24. Although, I mean,
it's fine. It's fine.
pretty sure there were 8 other players somewhere.
So I'm not going to ask you to go through the rankings of every player in the group, but first things first. Group A, only 2 players make it through. Tell us, Yaku, which 2 players do you believe will make it out of Group A?
Lambo and Battle B.
Oh my god.
Yeah, with Group B, it's going to be Showtime and Moja.
Okay, so slow down. Slow down,
Hero Marine and Hero Marine twice. And then in Group D, it's going to be Forjumi twice.
Let's go.
Good choice.
So Group A, you have no faith in Gumiho? The Gumi god? Ah.
I want to go
reigning
for a
champion?
theme here, but
I see what you're doing. Yeah. What you're saying is the home field advantage, it's too much to handle, right?
Yeah.
It's got to be the German players.
yeah.
There you go. You know what I'm missing here? There's no Eon Blue. Where's Eon Blue?
True. Take.
Going on. Take. God damn it, Take.
I'm sure
But in
Blue
Group
will be,
A, we do have. Yeah, I'm sure he will. Group A, we have Gumiho, Lambo, Nightmare, Skillus, Battlebee, and Fiant. Some pretty heavy hitters already here in Group A, not gonna lie.
Yeah. Pretty strong. I mean, I think most people are going to be expecting Gumiho to come out as a favorite of Group A, and I don't disagree at all. He is the reigning champion of Home Story Cup, so I think he's somebody who you have to expect to make it out, if not first, then at least second. The other player, though, that's a tough one to call. Nightmare, I think, has really been impressing us in these past couple of weeks. Lambo, obviously, is a player who you never can really discount, but again, it's hard to really grasp or hard to really gauge what his form is looking like coming into Home Story Cup because we haven't been able to really see him compete in a lot of the other weeklies.
True, right? That's the thing here. I 100% agree. Where I think Gumiho is going to be the clear favorite, and I do agree that Lambo he's a bit of an enigma just because he hasn't been showing his play as much. So especially in these online tournaments, I mean, he hasn't been playing. Period. So yeah, it's kind of hard to judge kind of where he is like skill wise compared to Skillus and Nightmare at the moment. So I would love to see him make it through, but again, it's very cutthroat. Only top 2. Only top 2 will make it through. Nightmare, he did look really good in the qualifiers. He hasn't been as active these past couple of weeks.
Didn't he, in the
True.
qualifiers?
No, yeah, you're not wrong. He did beat Gumiho, and there's a PvP with Skillus. I wanted to say Nikita. I wanted to say Skillus, but you know what? You convinced me. Gumiho and Nightmare. I'm gonna lock that in.
All right. You're gonna go for Gumiho and Nightmare, so I'm gonna go with Gumiho and. I also want to say Nikita, but at the same time, you can't underestimate that home field advantage.
True.
Do I favor the home field more, or do I favor the we actually have eyes on them more? I think I'm gonna give it to Skillus because I got to cast Skillus in SCL recently, so
yeah,
I'll say Gumiho and Skillus since you're going with Gumiho and Nightmare.
Yeah, and hey, I can definitely see that happening. Like Lambo as well. I think this is a really tough group actually. It's a really hard one to call. Not gonna lie. So best of luck to all those players, of course. During the round robin group stage, they're gonna be playing in just over 24 hours, so not much time at all. Heading on over here to Group B. Once again, another stacked bracket here. We have Maru, Showtime, Spirit, Kelazur, Geralt, and Moja.
And I know I had a theme coming into this, but I feel like I can't predict Gumiho and not predict Showtime. I'm going to say Showtime definitely coming out first in Group B.
Oh, okay. Who's second?
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. I mean, I'm always rooting for Diego. This is the
Mhm.
Terran group, so it's hard to. My
True.
heart is split quite a bit. I'm always rooting for Diego Moja, his like kind of rising star, so I want him to do really well as well. Piotr is an
Mhm.
absolute mad lad, but he's also
Yeah.
in the same group as the Korean Piotr, according to Cyril,
True.
in Maru. And Maru also, he's gonna be in the proximity of Ryung, so he's gonna get a buff.
Oh, he's gonna get that TVT buff. Oh no, true. Ryung can coach him in the
He can.
TVTs.
Coach him live.
He can.
You know what? It's his first time at Home Sir Cup. I'm gonna go Showtime and Maru.
Okay, that's fair.
Maru
That's
do
fair.
well. Yeah, for his first
Yeah,
time.
I'm gonna hard agree with you on that one. I think Maru and Showtime gonna make it through. It is really like hard though, because like again, as you said, Piotr, he's a great player. Diego's an amazing player. Geralt's an amazing player. Moja, I became a big fan in the last Home Sir Cup. Like I would love to see a lot of these players make it through, but again, it's just a brutal format. Only 2 players. Like it's crazy how strict the format is here. And I guess a part of it is because the playoffs is only quarterfinals, right? Like there's no round of 16
True.
or there's no
Yeah.
there's no round of 12 or anything like
Top
that.
8.
Like it's it's just a very, very unforgiving.
Mm.
Right, Group C.
Now we move on to Group C, and I'm gonna say something that I think I'll have to explain myself.
Okay.
I don't think Hero Marine can make
Okay.
it out of this group because I don't
Okay.
think any of the other players will allow him to make it out of the group.
Okay.
Because I feel like if he advances,
Uh-huh.
who's gonna make the pizza?
Who's gonna feed the people? You're not wrong. That's the thing, right? I imagine that the people, the players, the audience, they're all gonna be rooting against Gabe there, so he can step out of the player
They're
booth
all gonna
into the
fire
kitchen,
against
with
him.
the chef's hat, and make those pizzas. Oh god, you're not wrong. I want a big Gabe pizza.
It's gotta be good, right? And in my
It's gotta be
experience, German pizza, ooh,
Yeah, greater than Italian pizza.
greater than Italian. Yeah.
Oh no. We need to have a pizza off. We need like Rainer. We'll have like teams of 2. We'll have Rainer and his brother Baby Marine, because they're both gonna be there, right? They could be
True.
on one side, and then you can have Gabe, and then maybe you can have like Moja or one of his or maybe Battle B, and then
We're talking about the current. We're talking about the players who are already gonna be there. Okay.
yeah.
I was thinking Hero Marine and special Juanito.
Okay.
No, Juanito has
Oh, no. He's gonna put
opinions
tomato
that-
sauce on
he's
it.
got a few opinions that Rainer's not too fond of.
Oh no, not just Rainer, mate. I mean,
Everyone with taste.
You're not wrong. Juanito, he has some questionable opinions about his pizza. Yeah, okay. So you think Gabe's gonna have a hard time? The kitchen's gonna be calling him, right? People gonna be placing their orders for their pizzas while he's playing in game. That is something that he has to fight as well at the same time.
Yeah. Everything's stacked against it, but you know what? He is
Mhm.
big.
True. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So who are you locking in?
Who am I locking in?
Yeah.
Well, I feel like I feel like I'm obligated to say Clem, obviously, just because he has been one of the honestly, out of all of these players who have been invited, I think he's been the most active when it comes to the online weeklies and the online cup. So I have to say Clem coming into Group C, and he's also got some very impressive results. Not just winning them, which we kind of expect him to win these online weeklies, but some weeks even just not dropping a single map to his path of victory. So Clem is the obvious favorite coming into Group C. And the second player, I mean, it feels wrong to call Clem and then not call Rainer, so I want to say Clem and Rainer, but I gotta say, Mana's been really impressing me these past couple of weeks.
He has. Yeah. I mean, Mana, he's not one to really count out, as you mentioned. Like he's been getting some surprising results in these online tournaments, and obviously King of the Hill. Like it's been crazy to see Mana's kind of resurgence in a way these past couple of months. So yeah, he's definitely not one to count out. Like there's definitely a couple of players here, a couple of sleeper agents that can like pop off and cause some upsets.
Yeah, DNS was kind of the master of upsets back in WTL, so maybe it's gonna be tough for him to make it in top 2, but I can see him in top 3, which unfortunately isn't enough to make it out of the group. But
it's so brutal, Yaku. It's such a brutal group. Like, but yeah, I'd have to agree. Clem and Raynor, I think they are going to be the favorite players coming into this. Best of luck, of course, to the others to try to vie for that second and first place. Definitely they can do it, but it is going to be an uphill battle for them, I feel. Scrolling down, we have Group D. We have Cyril, Ryung, Harstem, Laser, Forjumi, and Baby Marine.
Baby Marine solos.
Oh my god.
He needs to show up his brother. He needs to show him, you know?
Mm-hmm. True. Yeah. There's going to be that brother rivalry going on. As Raynor and Babe Marine, they're going to be in the same place.
Yeah.
They're going to cast together.
Stop hitting yourself.
Where's the rainbow? Suddenly, we need all the Italian boys there. Why is he not a part of this lineup? What's going on? But okay, who are your picks for Group D?
So I have a heart pick and I have a head pick, I think.
Okay.
My heart pick, I think, will come as no surprise to anybody watching. It's obviously going to be Ryung and Forjumi. Those are the two who I'm always going to be rooting for, no matter what.
Yeah.
Those are the two who I want to make it through, no matter what. But my head pick is telling me that obviously Cyril is going to be the heavy favorite coming into this. And then the second one is my head. The second one is less of a head pick and more of a gut pick, and it wants to say a Laser because the Laser's just so much of a question mark right now. But I feel like usually when I question what a Laser's form is looking like, and usually when I'm like, oh yeah, Laser, there's no way he's gonna make it out of the group, all of a sudden he makes it out first, or I'm like, oh yeah, Laser, he's definitely getting knocked out in the quarterfinals. Suddenly he's in the finals, and then it's... Yeah, so I've learned my lesson about underestimating a Laser. So my head pick is going to be Cyril and a Laser, but my heart pick is going to be Ryung and Forjumi.
Okay. Interesting. I'm gonna agree with obviously the Cyril coming out of the group for sure. I think Cyril he is gonna be a sure thing. I feel like second place here is
at this point of Home Story Cup. So
yeah, for sure. I feel like second place here is gonna be a difficult one to call because I do see a world where either Ryung, Harstem, or a Laser make it through. I think they're all quite competitive with each other. I think I'm gonna rate. Go.
Oh, yeah, I definitely agree. But the thing that is tripping me, that is making me hesitant to give the head nod to Ryung, is I can obviously I would favor Ryung over Baby Marine. It's a TVT, which is Ryung's best matchup, and also it's kind of a veteran against a rising star, so that's what I would favor. Ryung's TVP is also really good, so I can absolutely see him beating Harstem and Forjumi. But historically, Ryung's TVZ has always been his Achilles heel.
True.
So I'm not sure if he has it in him to take out a Laser. I think he does have it in him to take out a Laser, but it's going to be a very tough ask.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is hard. It's hard to pick between the three of them. I think because you went Cyril a Laser. I think I'm going Cyril Harstem. I think I'm going for the captain.
Capital.
Solely because I think I said this like last week as well. Like I feel like historically over the past couple of years, I haven't been rating Harstem too highly.
I remember you talking about this,
yeah. But I feel like recently, the past like maybe 8 months or so, like I feel like Hearthstone has been improving. I feel like he has been improving. He has been getting better. He has been, I feel like for a long time I'd meme that, oh, he's like the content man. He's like the YouTube boy. But recently he has actually been playing quite well, and he has been like definitely impressing me with those results. So I want to look in several Hearthstone. I think I want to look it in.
Okay.
But I could see it going to Young or Laser. Like it's gonna be a close one.
Before we move
Kuro,
on,
what are
I
your
also want
picks?
to mention something that I was literally updated about today. Is that for Jumi has officially changed his name to Jumi.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah, I was wondering that as well. I was like, is that a recent thing? What happened to 4?
Where's the Oh, you know what happened?
How?
Iba took it in the divorce. Iba took the
No,
4.
Sean. No, Sean. You saying he took half the money? He took half his name? He took the 4? It's now for Iba, no longer for GB. Oh no, that's crazy. Jimmy. Okay. That's wild. I wonder. I legit. I'm probably gonna. I'll try to like get an answer from Fujimi. One, where he got his name from, and yeah,
Where he got
why
his
the
name from and where he gave it, where he where it went.
Oh no. Okay. Well, there you go. Iba, he took the name. That's crazy. What did you lose in the divorce? Half my name, mate. I'm like, oh my god. That hurts. That's okay. Well, there you go. There you go. So, now I want to cheer for Jimmy that much more. He's now like half the man he used to be. That's great. That's
Mistake,
no.
you know. It's gonna win this to show that Iba may have took half his life, but it was the worst half of his life.
Exactly. You know what, Jimmy, you're better off without Iba. You're better off without him. You can do this. Strong, independent Protoss. Independent. Oh god.
I cannot wait for Duckling Showdown.
Let's go. Much love to Jimmy. Much love to Jimmy. So I'm definitely gonna be cheering for him. Definitely cheering for Jimmy so he can reclaim his name or move on without it. And yeah, I guess as we wrap up this, the predictions of the group, I think we were both lock in step, or we were both lock step in Group B and Group C. I feel like A and D are a little bit more up in the air. Like, or I should say, there's definitely. It feels like there's potential for more variance there with who makes it through those groups. So definitely worth tuning in. Definitely worth watching the group stage here. There's going to be a lot of high quality matches going on.
Yeah. High quality matches and some high quality roasting as well. When we get players on the couch.
Let's go. The banter's going to be real again. That's going to be tomorrow in 24 hours time. Again, we're going to be live here on the channel with Home Story Cup. With the group stage, we will not be casting the playoff bracket. The playoffs are going to be held they're going to be held on Sunday. And of course, the side stream is not going to be required for the playoff bracket, but we'll at least be there for the group stage.
Indeed.
There you go. And with that wraps up the Home Story Cup group. And now we can finally jump into the patch itself. Again, the patch, the Home Story Cup, is going to be on.
Exactly. And it's live right now. You can play in it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to go to the PTR. You don't got to download nothing. Just open up your client. It's live.
Yeah, and I think what surprised a lot of people here as we go into the announcements of the patch releasing is because it had been a couple of weeks since the last update on the patch. I think a lot of us, or at least I, assumed that I guess there isn't going to be an update now. It's been like 2 weeks and then there hasn't been like an adjustment or like an update to the PTR. I guess this is what we're going live with. I guess this is what we're going to be stuck with here. But no, they pulled a fast one on us. The patch went live. Not just going live, though, it actually added some adjustments and some changes as well, right into the live version of the game.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, I guess they decided that, they can't keep tinkering with it, so they're just gonna This is as
They're just
close to a finished product as they're gonna get, so they're just gonna make 1 or 2 minor adjustments and then have it sent off as is.
yeah. So
I say
really
adjustments,
surprising that
it's more like reverts.
yeah, really surprising that they would go for these changes, just straight up then and there and go for it. As you're mentioning, nothing too crazy. The first one is the Nexus range for the shield battery. For the shield battery is going to be, or NG recharge, I should say, is increased from 10 to 12. So that means there is going to be a longer range here where you can make use of the NG overcharge and you can target your own units and actually use the ability. So that's going to be a nice buff here for the Protoss players when it comes to defending and when it comes to, I mean, just in general, making use of that NG overcharge.
Yeah, especially when you're walling off in the low ground. Some of these maps that are coming out where there's a little bit of a larger natural base, so
Mhm.
or a little bit more empty space in natural base. So yeah, real nice adjustment here that I don't think anybody can really argue against, or anybody really wants to argue against.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where people that we were still like a little bit concerned when it comes to how strong or how weak Protoss defense would be without the shield battery overcharge, and this is just a way to help with that, to help just give more value to the NG overcharge and value to shield batteries as well. So it is a nice change here and that nice buff here to defensive Protoss. Scrolling on over, we do have a model size changes here. We have the model size reverted and now increased here for the mothership and for the Ultralisk as well.
Yeah, makes sense. When it comes to the mothership, I feel like it just makes sense because, well, that's the capital ship for Protoss, and it's also going to be more expensive now, but balance-wise, since it also can no longer be abducted, it's not really going to be that much of an issue. The Ultralisk revert is an interesting one, but reading their rationale, I think also it makes sense. Initially, they decreased the size of the Ultralisk. They made it a little bit tinier just because they realized that that would allow the Ultralisk not to be stuck between units like Zerglings or things like that. It would be a little bit easier for them to maneuver around. But of course, since they've changed something with the pathing of the Ultralisk, so now it can actually push units in front of it out of its way, they no longer need that. So we're going to get big boy Ultras again, which I didn't realize how much I missed personally.
Yeah, it was nice seeing the big boy ultras once again. It was very refreshing. It was like, oh yeah, they used to be big and they used to look menacing and terrifying, and it's great to see them in such a way once again. When it comes to balance concerns, some people have been saying like, oh, now the ultra is larger, which means it's easier to target, it's easier to kite, and easier to snipe. But at the level of play that we're casting, at the highest level of play, I mean, players aren't misclicking. Like, what do you? Like, your top Terran players, they aren't struggling to snipe or focus fire the ultra anyway. So
this is a change that was made to benefit me,
there
and I'm all for it.
I was gonna say that this is gonna benefit more lower tier players instead, more so than the highest level of play. When it comes to targeting the ultra. So there you go, Yaku.
Hell yeah!
Beautiful. You're like, and I still miss those snipes. But
I do. But I played TVC yesterday. I sniped a Hydra when I meant to snipe an Ultra.
Oh no! Yeah, because it's not big enough. Make them bigger. They need to take up half the screen. Okay, like I can't hit it. I can't hit the Ultra. God damn it, Yaku. So yeah, that is gonna make things a little bit easier for I guess in a way the majority of the Terran players out there when it comes to targeting down the ultra. Meanwhile, we do have another change here. This is one I think we can all get behind. The Thor exclusive payload change was removed, and if you remember, I think this was at least the change that I had the biggest issue with when we were going over the patch for the first time. I was like, what is? I think we were both in agreement.
This change was what we were both wondering.
Exactly. And then it looks like ESL, they're like, yeah, what is the point of this change? what is the point of this change? What's going on here? And they just got rid of it. So I do think this is definitely a good thing. For those that are curious, for those who do not remember, the Thor change that they proposed out of nowhere, which was wild, was that basically they're removing the ability for mutas to magic box to Thor. Like suddenly
Yeah.
they were doing more splash damage and just being more effective when it comes to their anti-hero. It was just crazy the change that they were making. And if you remember at the time, I was when it was revealed, I'll be honest, it did feel like someone watched Reina versus Clem and they didn't like what they saw, and they were trying to like make sure that didn't happen. They were like, what a Zerg player at the highest levels making mutas? We need to put a stop to that. Like,
Yeah.
like it felt kind of weird. Like it was
Only
it was a
Demig's
weird
allowed
change.
to make mutas.
True. So it was a really odd change, and thankfully it is not going to be going through. So yeah, it was wild that it was proposed to begin with, but has been removed.
It has, but that's all about the things that they aren't going to go forward with.
Mhm.
Everything else, as of last update, is still going to go through. Shall we go over them?
Yeah, I mean, very quickly going over the council feedback, I think is interesting as well. It was really odd. I don't know if you went into it, but or if you've had a look at it yourself. But it's a little bit concerning because it does feel like there isn't much. There's less cohesion in the council than there should be. I think for the ghost nerf, I think you can see here that they even mentioned how there wasn't agreement amongst the council with how they wanted to nerf the ghost. They knew that they had to nerf the ghost in some way, but they didn't know how. And for now, they're committing to the supply nerf to the ghost. But if you remember last time, we criticized it because it feels like a nerf that is mainly impacting the late game, and that isn't the issue in TVP.
Yep.
And right now we're looking for a change specifically for the Terran versus Protoss matchup. And
In the mid game.
so we were.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we were concerned that it wasn't really addressing it, and it feels like they're self-aware that they also know that it's not addressing it either, but they just haven't come up with a better idea, which is a little bit concerning.
I'm still putting it up there. Again, don't know how difficult it would be
Mhm.
to implement it, but I'm still
Mhm.
floating my suggestion out there. When a unit gets hit with the first initial EMP, they get a status effect that makes them immune to another EMP for a few seconds.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like there's been a lot of changes that have been proposed. There's that one, for example, right, where you can't like stack EMPs over the other. There's been a proposed change for like maybe EMP drains instead of just straight up removes. So like it's like a dot over time, and the NG slowly drains down, or maybe like some number adjustments where like they adjust the radius or something. Like there definitely has been some things that have been proposed, but it looks like there's no agreement yet here from the council. And I think my biggest concern, or maybe the biggest thing that I'm interested in, based on these comments here, for the Ghost nerf and for Zerg versus Protoss, we can get into that a note as well. They kind of leave things off a little bit ambiguous, where they're like, we didn't come up with a solution yet. And same with Zerg versus Protoss, where they're saying like they want to monitor it. That implies that maybe they want to implement a change sooner rather than later, not a year later, but maybe like in a month or
I
two.
see.
That's what it implies. That they're saying like, oh, we're gonna monitor, and then we might change it. But like, I don't know how much truth there is in that, because yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say that I think that's a cultural difference between you and I, because here, when somebody says they're gonna monitor a situation, that usually means they're gonna not do anything about it.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Like I wanna interpret that in good faith and be like, oh, maybe this means that like if they monitor it, that means that if there's something wrong, that they're gonna do something about it, right? But I mean, you're probably right. Maybe they won't do anything about it, because in my scenario, where if they are going to do something about it, I mean, we've seen that unfortunately the reality is that we only get like one patch a year, right? Like we don't get consecutive patches because we assume the line of communication between ESL and Blizzard is quite limited, and the staff at Blizzard is quite limited, where they can't be there like every month or every couple of months to work on the game. It's just not something that they're doing. So they just can't do it. So like, it's where does that leave us? you know, like what's going on? Like, who are you trying to fool them? What are you saying right now? They're like, oh, we'll monitor. It's like, okay. Well, what happens if there's something wrong? It's like, oh well,
We'll look into it.
something wrong. There's something wrong. We'll address it next year for
Yeah.
the next yearly patch. It's okay. Okay. Cool. I guess. I guess so. Yeah, that's definitely something that I'm curious about because again, I want to believe that if they're saying that, I want to believe it isn't just lip service, and then they wouldn't just say that to say that they intend on maybe implementing a patch in the near future, maybe. But
Fingers
yeah,
crossed. Yeah.
maybe
Maybe.
I'm just huffing some copium, Pappy. Maybe it's possible.
Tis.
There you go. For Zerberus' Protoss, the community note was regarding the mothership change and late game ZVP regarding the balance patch. Something that I wasn't aware of, because again, something that I wasn't aware of because we barely get any ZVP in the PTR. So like because that we just have barely seen these interactions. But I have heard that there is some concern regarding the mothership. There apparently is a build where some Protoss players have been rushing into the mothership faster and using it as a supportive unit with a gateway army, and they've been having a lot
And
of
then they
success with it.
recall, or
Well, no, they just come in and because the
oh,
mothership actually got buffed DPS wise, if you remember, they have extra
yeah.
beams. Like it's like that early on in the mid game, it actually is impactful, and it's actually like killing a lot of stuff. Like
Dang.
it's actually popping up. I haven't seen it myself, but I have heard murmurings of this build on the European ladder, and I'm curious how much weight there is behind it, and I'm curious if we're going to be seeing that at Home Story Cup as well.
And that's how I can't wait to see it at Home Story Cup. All right. That's how Jumi, dude.
Oh, is that what Jumi brings to the table? Is that? Oh no, he's gonna beat Cyril and a laser by rushing mothership. It's gonna be
Hell
crazy.
yeah.
But yeah, with that, the rest of the patch did go live. As you were mentioning, did go live. All the regular changes that were implemented to the PTR have since gone live as well. We have heard about some bugs that have been plaguing the ladder and plaguing the
Cyclone.
base game. Yeah, the biggest one I think is probably the Cyclone. True.
Yeah, a couple of bugs that went through with that kind of stuck through during the QC phase or the quality testing phase. But yeah, hopefully we'll get not a full-on patch, but at least a bug fix patch pretty soon to to change those.
Yeah, I would assume so. I would assume that that it is going to be patched relatively quickly here from the side of StarCraft. The other big thing coming out of this, though, and something that I had more issue with, is the maps. The new ladder map pool was released.
Good issue.
We
with
have
maps.
we have the 6
Right.
maps, of course, that were a part of the PTR that have since been released to the base game.
Mhm.
In addition, we have 3 extra maps as well, 3 older maps from years gone by.
Indeed, and this is actually something that I was pleasantly surprised about personally.
Mhm.
I mean, we were talking about. I think there's been a lot of talk for a very long time about how StarCraft 2 has been around for so long, and we've had so many different maps. It's been a really long time since we had something like a legacy map pool or like a all-star map pool or something like that. And we were kind of talking about, it would be nice to have one for maybe one season or something like that, or maybe one season is too much because seasons nowadays last quite a while. But like have a season or something like that, and yeah,
Uh-huh.
sneakily enough, in this new patch, we noticed that there were only 6 maps, which was why in a lot of the PTR tournaments, we had what was it, Hecate? Yeah, Hecate coming in as kind of the 7th map when it comes to a full-on best of 7. And so we were thinking about that, and we were thinking, I guess they're only going to be replacing 6 of the old maps, and then 3 of the maps from the previous map pool are going to be continuing over. But no, they went through with the 6 new maps, and then they went back to early Legacy of the Void with Abyssal Reef, Neon Violet Square, and King's Cove as our 3 kind of legacy maps or refresher maps, old maps coming back in.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, like it is something that we were discussing for the past couple of weeks, and something that I am fully behind. The idea of having a dream pool. In my mind, a dream pool is something for the off season, like in between main seasons, where you know what, you have some time for the new maps to be aggregated. You know, you
Mhm.
bring on a bunch of old maps. You know, just have a nostalgia trip, at least until the next season of EPT. This is a little bit different though. This was three maps now added to the competitive ladder map pool that is going to be a part of Home Story Cup. Most likely going to be a part of IEM Katowice next year and the next season of StarCraft. But the biggest issue that I have here is not that they're bringing back old maps. That's fine. You can bring back old maps. My biggest issue is the maps themselves that they chose to bring back here, where it
That don't
feels like we
really align with the current state of balance.
yeah, if you remember, one of the big
I noticed
kind of
that a little bit.
goals. Yeah. One of the big goals of the patch, if you remember, because they kind of listed their goals at the top of the patch notes. One of
Mhm.
them was that they wanted to reduce late game turtle play. They wanted to reduce turtling. They wanted to reduce hyper defensive play. That is why they made changes to I mean a lot of Terran, for example, with their planetary fortress, with the sensor tower. Is why they specifically were trying to work on that kind of late game, because it's not necessarily the most fun thing to play and not the most fun thing to watch either, is to see these split map scenarios where they're just looking each other down for 30 minutes. And which is why it was really odd to see these three maps chosen here. Neon Violet Square, Abyssal Reef, and King's Cove are all very large maps. They're all very large maps. They're larger than I think every other map in the map pool. Maybe aside from Frostline. I think Frostline is the only other comparable size map to the others. But they're all massive from years gone by, of course. But not just that. It isn't just that they're large maps. They're also very defendable maps. I was having a look at them, both Abyssal Reef as well as King's Cove, and even a little bit of Neon Violet Square. It is very easy to get into a 4 and 5 base economy and turtle up. I think you spoke about it. For Neon Violet Square, you
Yep.
have your own pocket base. It's very safe and secure. You have your own corner of the map with potentially a goal base as well. Like, it does look very easy to turtle and very easy to force that kind of scenario, even though that's something that apparently ESL wanted to avoid.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where I think they may have underestimated the role that maps play when it comes to balance and when it comes to specifically when it comes to balance, because I noticed specifically on Abyssal Reef there were a lot of
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
there are a lot of features in that map. I mean, I still love it. I would still want to see
Mm-hmm.
more matches on it, but there were a couple of things like, say, the double opening. Well, it's not just specifically the double opening, but also like the layout into the natural and into the third base, which is like, oh yeah, map makers just don't do this anymore because
Yeah.
because they've just realized that it leads to, like you were saying, some very long turtling, very long games and very turtle kind of plays, and it sometimes encourages. Every now and then, it'll encourage like 3 base all-ins and something like a TVZ or something like that, but usually it's just very turtling up, and so yeah, map makers just don't really do that things anymore. And now we're kind of in a situation where the meta has changed and the balance has also changed, but we're going back to these older maps that still encourage that style of play.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's the weird thing about it, right? Like, again, like I would be all for bringing back older maps if they were in line with like the sentiment that's the patch was meant to have, right? With the goals of the patch themselves. Because of that, it did spark a little controversy amongst map makers. I think Kuro does have Patch's tweet up at the moment about how he feels demotivated and insulted even because of the maps that were chosen. I think Hyper One had a really good post. I think Hyper One posted as well, going a little bit more into detail. I think he had a broader claim speaking for the map maker community about how I did actually really appreciate. I think his post was a little bit more informative, but he was talking about how a lot of the map makers, their consensus amongst them, because they knew that ESL wanted to get away from those turtley styles, is that in unison they were all intentionally making their maps smaller. They were
Yep.
intentionally having or trying to balance out, like, okay, if a map is maybe a little bit more defensive, then it's going to be smaller, so the rush distance by ground is shorter, which
Yep.
means all ins are going to be more effective. If it's going to be a larger map like Frostline, for example, or Snowpiercer, then it would be more even if it's larger, then it would be more exposed. You know, the third and fourth bases are more exposed, so more difficult to defend, but longer rush distance by ground. Like, these are things that they would intentionally think about when creating their maps, and they put a lot of time and effort into it. And it does feel like the consensus, not just among some map makers, but most map makers, is a negative one after seeing kind of this decision made, because it feels like they put in a lot of time and effort and work into following the criteria of ESL that they laid out, and then ESL ignore it and they just pick whatever maps they want. It's like,
Yeah.
what the hell? Like, well, what's happening here? Like, it feels like there's a breakdown in the communication between ESL and the map makers and what they want exactly.
I feel like we need a map maker on the Balance Council, or a couple of map makers on the Balance Council, you know, because it does feel like there isn't any communication. It's very one-sided when it comes to the communication between ESL and the Balance team, and also the map makers as well. It's like, it's just ESL or, you know, the Balance team just saying, we want this for our maps, and then the map makers saying, okay, we're gonna do this and that, but they don't really get there's not really a forum for them to really voice their rationale, or kind of why they think certain maps should be picked and why they think certain maps shouldn't be picked.
Yeah, and what I will say as well, because they have been vocal about this, I believe the map makers did compile their own suggestions, their own critique, their own feedback for which maps that should have been added to this map pool.
Yep.
And I believe they did hand that over to ESL, but we don't know what happened to that. We don't know if it was followed. We don't know if it was really taken into account. It is implied that it wasn't, right? It was implied that, like, yeah,
with the maps that were chosen, obviously.
Yeah, but like this is something that they did express to ESL, but it seems like it has maybe fallen on deaf ears. From the outside looking in, for me, it does feel like potentially, from the side of ESL, there are maybe multiple people working on things and they themselves aren't communicating well. What I mean by that, it feels like maybe the people that are in charge of picking the ladder maps are not necessarily the people that are in charge of, you know, dictating and pushing through the balance changes. It feels like there's a disconnect there, specifically between maps and between balance, and then there's something that's not quite working there. It doesn't feel like it's like the same entity. I could be wrong though. Maybe it is. Maybe it's the same person, and maybe they have their own idea of what they want.
But with a split personality.
Like, it's hard to say with certainty, of course. But it does, it comes down to communication at the end of the day, and something feels a little bit wrong, but something feels a little bit off. And yeah, there has been a lot of negativity around the new old map pool that has since been finalized here, at least for the foreseeable future for this new map pool.
Plus 3 legacy maps is a bit much.
Uh-huh.
I think 2 is a better compromise. 7 new, 2 old.
Mm-hmm. Why are they turtle
Better
maps,
ratio.
Yaku? Why are they why are they
Well,
turtle maps?
you always need at least one turtle map, right?
What do you mean?
So
Do we?
You
Do
need
we
at
need
least
one?
one. You always
Do
need
we?
at least one. Yeah,
Why do we have 3?
that's the issue. You need at least one, but now 3 is too many. 2 is already too many. In fact, you know what? 1 is too many. But you need 1.
So yeah, that's been
Yeah.
that's been the controversy so far about the release patch and the release map pool. I tend to agree with it as well. I know there are definitely some that have more critiques with the patch itself when it comes to how it has impacted certain races, 100%, whether how it's impacted Protoss, Terran, or Zerg. But as you said, like, I personally am of the belief that the maps themselves do dictate a lot of the meta of StarCraft. Maybe not as much as Brood War. Obviously, Brood War, like, they balance it all with maps. Like, it's a little bit more extreme with Brood War. But I do think that maps themselves hold a lot of weight in SE2, at least from what I've seen, and I feel a little bit more strongly about maps themselves.
Definitely.
But we'll see.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see if
how they move
ESL
forward.
Yeah, we'll see if they hear the feedback. We'll see if they do anything regarding the feedback as well. I want to be
Or
hopeful, and I want to believe that they will, but
Yeah.
time will
or they could continue to monitor.
tell. They'll just. You know what? They said that they were going to monitor. They never said they were going to make any actions based on it. You know, maybe they're just going to monitor everything. They're just going to watch it all burn, and then they'll let us know at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll notify us. We monitored.
Yeah,
True.
true. Kept their promise, you know.
True.
Gotta give them that.
Aye. So that has been the patches release. Again, it's been live for a couple of days so far, and the first big event is going to be over the weekend. And again, my big excitement for the event is to see some high-level Zerg play finally come into fruition here, because they have been avoiding the PTR for so long. So I look forward to seeing a Laser, Lambo, Raynor, and Serral, and looking to see how the meta has shifted and evolved in the new patch.
Yeah, definitely. I cannot wait to see that mothership, that mid-game mothership for myself. I've yet to witness it in anything that I've watched so far, so somebody debuts it at Home Story Cup. I will be thoroughly entertained.
We'll see. We shall see. As for now, we can jump into the events here of the week. First things first, we're going to be jumping into the Little Mac SC2 League, Season 11.
Indeed, we shall. A little bit more of an amateur event for players in Masters 3 and below. And this was a big one. This was a more of an extended league rather than just a short weekly bracket that we usually have for a lot of these amateur events.
Oh yeah, definitely. As again, it was a very large league as well. There was a group stage into a second group stage into a playoff bracket. Just a crazy amount of games and matches, and a lot of effort and work put into organizing the event as well. I'm sure it was not an easy thing to do, whatsoever.
Flashback
so shout out to
some of the older amateur leagues that we've been involved with that were. Yeah, just logistically, when you have that many people who aren't playing this game professionally, who aren't able to dedicate that much time, and maybe have a lot of other stuff going on, just scheduling alone, it can be a nightmare.
Oh yeah, for sure. So much love here to Little Mac for organizing it. I'm sure he had some help as well along the way, but I'm sure it wasn't an easy thing to do. Meanwhile, congratulations to Keyboy, yeah. KY Boy, for winning the entire event here. Did go all the way to the ace match in the grand finals, but took down Fix 4-3.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. I'm just trying to pull up their Wikipedia page, as they do have one on the main space, because I don't believe I've heard. Yeah, that's a name I'm unfamiliar with, but yeah, it looks like they do play in a lot of Magic Cup Masters and have won quite a few of these Magic Cup Masters. So I've been involved with Alpha X and Platinum Heroes, so yeah, somebody who's quite involved in the scene by the looks of things.
Very impressive stuff here. So yeah, really cool to see him, at least for many years at this point, competing and looking to improve as well in the amateur scene. So congratulations here to Kaiboy for winning the Little Mac League, and I'm sure there's going to be many more in the future as well. So if you happen to be a more amateur player, up and coming player, you can see here this is an event for players that are Masters 3 and below. So I'm sure there's going to be a future.
Or I'm in that range.
You can play in the next one. You could.
I could. I kind of want to. I need something to motivate me.
There you go. So definitely do consider taking part in the event. I'm sure the group stage will get even larger if more people take part and more people get interested in competing in it.
Make Little Mac's life harder.
Yes.
Let's go.
Oh no. Feels Little Mac, man. Feels Little Mac. So yeah, it has finally come to a conclusion. So big shout out to, of course, Kaiboy. With that, we also have a Nation League Season 5. If you recall, oh no, what happened?
I can't look. I remember last week being disappointed in my team. So
oh no,
I gotta slowly scroll down and brace myself.
Exactly. I believe last time we saw this, we were in the final week, the final rounds of the group stage here, and the group stage has concluded, and we have our confirmed players, our confirmed teams.
Yep. Team United. I was rooting for you
Mhm.
boys. Didn't make it out.
Team United here. UK and US, they came together as one. You know, we thought that it was
The
going to be just like
Unity
a.
team.
Yeah, Team Unity. They were going to pop off, but alas, they did not. They did struggle here throughout the event, unfortunately, and they did not make it through. Actually, Kaiboy was a part of it. He was a part of the
Yeah,
team.
he won his games.
True.
Well, did pretty well, yeah.
Yeah. Needed the rest of his boys to step it up, but
Yeah.
he himself was doing well for himself. So alas, I didn't quite make it through. Instead, we do have for the playoff bracket, we have South Korea, Hungary, Poland, Peru, Italy, Kazakhstan, Germany, and Brazil.
No, Poland versus Peru
Ah, no.
in the first round.
The red and whites, they're facing off here in the first round. Yeah. We have Germany versus Brazil as well, also in the first round. Crazy.
Great. I mean, that can only go one way.
The superior European country is going to come out on top there. As I'm quickly checking here, it looks like these matches going to be held in over a week, so we might hold off on predictions until next week.
Okay.
May as well hold off on predictions until next week, because there's still quite some time until the quarterfinals.
I have to ask you though, Light, who are you rooting for, or who are you allowed to root for?
Who am I rooting for?
Makuro's in the call with us, so.
Yeah. Let's have a look at the teams. Hold up. I'm familiar with a lot of the Eximius boys in Team Brazil. True. Let's have a look at Team Germany. I had no anyone in Team Germany.
Okay.
Yeah, true. Adis is playing. True. I know anyone in Germany. Team Peru, I know some of these boys. Team Poland, I know Matrix, I know Ino, Serafit. I think Serafit used to be a caster or something. I don't know. Someone familiar with him. Case Bros. Korea, I remember. Yeah, I'm not too familiar with the Korean team. Who else is left over? Hungary, Italy, and Kazakhstan. Hungary has Aztecs. Let's go. Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
He's the captain. Okay.
Yeah.
It also has Protoss player Ibra.
What's your name? I'm Ibra. Okay. Let's go. Not quite Eva. It's his long lost cousin from Hungary. So let's see it. His bra, if you will.
Yeah.
Beautiful. There's a panda there as well.
I'm
gonna cave. I'm gonna commit to Brazil. That's what I'm gonna be cheering for. Team Brazil.
Oh, you had
best team in Europe.
Oh.
Who are you gonna cheer? Now that Team United are out, who are you going for?
I was trying to put you on the spot to be like, are you allowed to root for Peru when you're up against Poland in the first round? But
I don't know.
You didn't take my bait. You didn't take my bait. All right.
I don't know enough of these guys in the Peruvian team.
Team United is out, but you know what? I'm a homeboy. I'm gonna root for my country and my people. Team Italy.
Okay. Yeah. You know Italian, Yaku? Is that what's going on? What are you talking about, Yaku? What do you mean? That's true. For those that are curious, Yaku just finished binge watching The Sopranos.
I did.
So now he is. I
have
Italian.
exactly. I'm certified.
There you
They
go.
they mailed me the passport when I got to the final episode.
There you go. So Yaku is now certified Italian. Welcome. Hermano.
Yeah.
Oh, God. So, okay, best of luck to Team Italy and Brazil. And again, we'll be catching up with the rest of the tournament next week and the week after that with all the updates here with the league.
Yeah. 2 weeks from now, actually, because, next week they're not going to play yet.
True. So it's going to be in a couple of weeks. Meanwhile, we can head over here to the Hyper One Power Rankings number 4, where we have quite a We have quite a large group stage actually, and it looks like it's still underway. This is for all of Hyper One's boys. He does have quite a large team, and it's basically an
He
in-house Hyper
has,
One tournament.
yeah, he has almost as many boys as you do.
True.
Potentially
Almost.
more. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
whoa. I wouldn't go that far, mate. Oh my god.
that is
I like
true.
how
I think he knows how to pull out of gas.
I like how there's the Swiss, but there's also baby Swiss as well.
Yeah, in the
Are
same
they
group.
related? Are
They have to
related?
be, right?
They have to be, right? But why are they
Otherwise,
not from
why would they?
Switzerland? Why are they from the US?
No. See, you're making that mistake. You're assuming
Okay.
that Swiss is their nationality. Swiss is
Mhm.
actually their favorite variety of cheese.
Okay. So they eat the Swiss.
Yeah.
Okay. I understand. So yeah, the group stage is still ongoing. I mean, it's still too early to really get too far into the group stage, but I mean, so far some pretty impressive
Yeah.
results here.
Gogo Joey
It's
hasn't
great to
played
see
yet.
True. It's great to see Gogo Joey active once again. You know, he did join Hyper One's team quite some time ago at this point, and we haven't really seen too much from him in quite some time either. But it does bode well that he's still out there, still active, still competing.
I will say I specifically asked Hyper One about this, and Gogojoy exclusively plays in this tournament.
There you go.
There you go.
Plays just in this event. He wants his monthly paycheck. Okay, just only the Hyper One league. Let's go.
That's all he needs.
Okay, so
Yeah,
best
nice
of
to
luck
see
all
a
the
couple of
players here.
familiar faces coming on here. Obviously, Hyper One, the owner of the team and the organizer as well, but also Hamono
He's playing.
Jackie. That's a guy who we haven't seen in a while.
Yeah, Lamjoy.
Yeah, Jackie, otherwise known as Lamjoy. Yamjoy.
Mhm.
It's not Lamdui. Even though it's spelled Lamdui, it's not pronounced that.
Yeah. The D is silent.
For
It's a
those who
Yamjoy.
don't know, those are two different people. Please don't confuse the audience.
I'm pretty sure they are. I'm pretty sure they're the same.
They're the
I'm
same
pretty
person.
sure it's the same person. Yeah, Jackie and Yamjoy.
Yeah, and if they're not, then they better prove us wrong by both typing
Yeah.
in the chat.
In the same room.
But yo, Hyper One is playing in his own tournament. That's
Yeah.
crazy. He's beating some of his people as well. He's
Yeah. Oh, is it
no.
is it a case where if you get beat by Hyper One, you get kicked off the team?
That might be the case, or
It's all right, if you
you might have to do the dishes and clean up.
True.
There you go. It goes full circle. That's
Yeah.
that's all the chores for the team.
Yeah. You have to make the pizzas.
They do. So best of luck to all these players, of course, for competing in Hyper One's event. Scrolling on over, we have the 3D. Not gonna lie, Yaku, when I saw the name of this tournament,
I read it. Yeah.
I
Oh,
was like,
what
hold
do
up.
you read it as?
Not safe for work.
Oh, okay. I read it as 3DS, and I was like,
okay.
they're gonna get Pokemon and
Okay,
like Mario.
We both went in very different
They're
directions.
gonna win a
We went-
They're gonna win a console, a handheld console from 10 years ago. Pretty good, Games on it.
There you go.
That's a
There
pretty good
you
price, You're gonna play Animal
but yeah.
Crossing and then forget about it after a week, and then come back years later, and everything there are weeds everywhere. And I'm not talking about personal. I'm not talking about any personal experience there.
Oh no.
Everybody leaves the town.
Is your town gone now in Animal Crossing? Is that what happened? Is that
I think they've all moved to the island. That's out now.
Don't like this. But yeah, it is cool to see the 3D Clan. I mean, they do host their own events from time to time, and now we have an SFW event here for them as well. Looks like it has already concluded, and we had quite a number of players here from quite a number of heavy hitters actually here. Very similar contenders that we saw in the Firegrow Cup did kind of reprise their roles. Big results coming in. We had Strange popping off and winning the entire tournament.
Yeah, Strange, who I mean, he's not a bad player by any means. I think definitely on a normal day, I would imagine I can see him taking having a pretty strong result and possibly also winning. But he only dropped 2 maps throughout this entire tournament. And you look at this bracket, it's a pretty stacked bracket. You got Nikorak, you got Wayne, you got Young Yakov, you got Nikic, you got Shameless, even Mindle VK and Milky Cow, I know they're not super active nowadays, but they're still heavy hitters. I mean, Shameless and Milky Cow, both of them making it to the third place match. Milky Cow even coming in third. Strange came in as a little bit of a dark horse and just won the entire dang tournament.
Yeah, very, very strong result here from Strange. If you remember in Firegrow Cup, Strange also made it out of the group stage into the playoffs. If I remember correctly, I believe Nickrect defeated Strange in the playoffs of Firegrow Cup, and Nickrect did advance on to the semifinals. But here they did avoid each other. They didn't even face off. And yeah, some really impressive stuff here. Like even just winding a little bit back here before diving into Strange, Shameless took down Wayne 2-1, and
True.
Wayne, he was second place in Firegrow Cup. Like Wayne, I would have said, I mean, for a very long time, I think I emphasized this last for Firegrow Cup as well, how Wayne for a long time was the dominant force in the CIS region. Like Wayne was the #1 player, but in recent months, in the last year of play, I would say it feels like now there's more competition amongst these players, and Wayne, he is no longer kind of like the one above all as much as he used to be.
Yeah. He evolved. Or no, everyone else evolved.
Thank you. Okay. So yeah, for Shameless to take down Wayne 2-1 is a big win for Shameless. Then of course that leads into Strange having his crazy result as well, taking down Nickish 2-1, went to the ace match, took down Shameless in the PvP, went all the way to the finals. Meanwhile, scrolling down to the rest of the quarterfinals matches, Milky Cow with a 2-0 over Nickerect. That is a very impressive result as well. You just mentioned it. Milky Cow, he's not the most active of players, but he had a very good performance here.
Yeah, again, coming in third place, beating Nicoract and then beating Shameless.
Yeah, big wins there for Milky Cow. And of course, Young Yakov was the player that I had my eyes on. Young Yakov, he was the most recent Firegrow Cup champion. Took down Middle VK 2-0, took down Milky Cow 3-1, and then he had a best of 7 finals. And I did not watch this. I would love to have seen the VODs here of this, but Strange 4-0'd Young Yakov. That is an insane result.
Yeah, which again, Young Yakov, the Firegrow Cup champion, coming off the back of that, beating players like Shameless and other really strong Protoss players in the region, gets swept by Strange.
Yeah. Exactly. We expected that to be a more competitive series, but no, Strange, he sweeps Young Yakov 4-0. Very, very strong result here by Strange. Clearly showing that that he is definitely, one amongst the other top contenders here. He was kind of glossed over in Firegrow Cup, but here showing that he can take it to the best of them in the European region. So, yeah, very impressive stuff, and definitely putting Strange back on the map.
Yep. Now we got our eyes on him once again. I mean, we always do, but...
Yeah. Once again, back on the radar. Heading on over, we do have a very interesting event here. We have a Finnish event that has been going on. A Finnish event that has been mainly focusing on the other up-and-coming players.
Yep. So everyone but Cyril.
Yes, Cyril, instead of competing, he actually casted.
Yeah. He did. Wellmu! That's a name I haven't
Let's
seen in a
go!
long time. Oh, man.
Oh my god, Wellmu, one of the OGs, one of the stronger players in Europe back in the day as well. Before there was Cyril, there was Wellmu as the best player in all of Finland. So really cool to see him once again. It's been a long time.
Yeah, quite a bit. Yeah, coming in here in that casting desk for a rather large tournament, all things considered. Finland, they've definitely got a lot of... I don't want to call it a sleeper region, but I feel like... myself anyway, I tend to underestimate just how much enthusiasm there is for StarCraft 2 in Finland. I mean, it was always pretty strong, but then obviously after Cyril started popping off, becoming world champion and all that, it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. It's kind of like how recently we were able to kind of witness the enthusiasm in the Chinese region after Oliveira became the world champion. That was the same thing that happened in Finland, but way back in the day when Cyril first became world champion.
Yeah. So it's really cool to see that these events are quite regular here. The StarCraft FI events or the Finnish events. So really cool to see that they are being hosted.
Is I think what it's called.
Yeah. There you go. But they're becoming more regular here, and so far the group stage has concluded. Mixu comes out of group stage in first place. We have Zhugelang, of course, in first place in his own group as well.
Yeah, which I think is kind of the expected results. But do you notice something about Mixu in particular here?
Oh yeah, Mixu, he has seen the lights, and we do see him off racing, not even as Protoss, but going for a different route here, off racing as Terran instead.
Yeah, really taking after Cyril there.
True, but there you go. Did opt to off race, and I mean there is a bit of a skill gap here. I mean when we look at these groups like Mixu and Zhugelang, we do expect them to face off in the finals, but we'll see if there's any kind of upset. We'll see if any one of these other competitors can try to contest against them and really vie for that #1 spot. Of course, the remainder of the group stage, or the I guess the playoff stages, the second round is going to be played off next week or in 4 days.
Yeah. Very, very soon, we're going to have our knockout bracket, and then we're going to have our full playout bracket, and then we're going to have our finals very, very soon. My eyes, I mean, obviously, you were mentioning Mixu is, I think, very clearly the #2 player in all of Finland, and he's very clearly the #1 player in this bracket. Zhugelang is somebody who's always been very strong and very reliable as well, whenever Finland was in Nation Wars. My eyes are on the third member of Team Finland,
Okay.
Nemu Zero.
Okay.
I want to see what he can pull off here.
Fair enough. So best of luck to the Mizero here, alongside all the other competitors as well. Again, we'll give you guys some updates in the next coming weeks. Up next, we do have the Chicken King Team League, the 2024 Fall Championship.
Yes, and it has concluded. I think last week we haven't gotten. I think last week we still had the semis and the grand finals to be played out, but this week it's all done. It's all concluded.
Yeah.
We have our champions.
We have our champions. So the semifinals did take place. We had SLT, Starlight Twinkle, versus Team Hist. Did go heavily here in favor of Starlight Twinkle. It looks like it is an all-kill format. Yeah, there we go. WTL all-kill format. Best of twos. We had Nanami and Oriana knock each other out. And then Rewhite went to town and did not drop a single map.
None whatsoever. So, yeah, Hist, they were coming in as a little bit of a dark horse here. But of course, Starlight Twinkle were the clear favorites coming into this, and they kind of demonstrated why. In the grand finals, though, a little bit of a different story, as we had our two heavy hitters, Little Fairy and Starlight Twinkle. And I think I actually predicted this to go the other way around, Light. I think I actually predicted Starlight Twinkle to beat Little Fairy. Was not the case here, as Little Fairy, with their A-team, was able to demonstrate why they are still a dominant force.
Exactly. We had the ace player of SLT go down immediately as Lemon 2-0'd Rewhite in a very impressive result. Then we had the counterattack here as Young Zest took down Lemon 2-0. Had a good performance himself, but Ear popped off. A bit of an unlikely hero for Little Fairy. But again, we have seen some of these lesser-known Chinese players pop up more and more frequently recently, and I'm sure we're going to be getting more into that in the Sunrise Cups. But Ear was able to knock himself and Young Zest out, and then it went the way of Shameless. So yeah, we've been hyping up Shameless for quite some time. We just saw him in the previous 3D clan event as well, where he took down Wayne, and likewise he did not drop a map here in the finals either.
He beat Nanami, he beat Jolly What Loves. Strong contender.
Oh yeah. There you go. So GG, well played. Congratulations here to Little Fairy, as they will be coming out as the King of the Chickens.
Chicken Kings.
Yeah.
Team Chicken Kings.
There you go. Looks like there was also a show match that was held maybe before the finals or before the semifinals. If you scroll down, there was a nice cheeky show match. Looks like they were playing an FFA, maybe? Question mark? Not too sure.
The map is called The Hunters. Is that big game?
Yeah. I don't know. I really do not know. But you can see that they're all ranking, so it looks like they did play an FFA. I would imagine here with all those players jumping into
consolidated.
this.
Yeah. Consolidated. Whatchamacallit. points based on who got knocked out, who lasted the longest, essentially.
Yes,
Within
exactly,
2 rounds.
exactly. So yeah, it was like a
Actually had it
nice, fun
tied,
little.
yeah.
Yeah, so nice little fun
Very well tied.
FFA. There was a three-way. I mean, I don't know if what they won from the show match, but regardless, they had some good fun beforehand as well. So we always appreciate a bit of a pre-show before the main event. With that, we have, of course, our Chicken Kings crowned.
Yeah. Is this where I point out that I outlasted everyone else in the clan in an FFA? By sneakily. It's part of
Yeah.
It is part of the Ducklings lore.
When you made the pact with Crank.
Frank,
Fun
yep.
fact, yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Fun fact.
Did happen. You colluded.
I
Crank.
did. And I didn't win, but I lasted the longest out of everyone other than Crank.
There you go. So Yak, he knows the FFA strats.
I know the secret, yeah. I know the tricks.
So it's all about that collusion. So yeah, regardless, GG will play to the Chicken Kings. That does lead us over to the Sunrise Cup number 186, where we had one of our more regular players have a deeper run here. I'm going to say that Nanami was able to pop off. Nanami was able to make it all the way to the finals. We had Smile likewise going to face off against him in those finals as well. Unfortunately, it looks like there was a walkover in the semis. I want to say that's a player that we have been trying to take note of in recent times.
Yeah, that was one of the Melons, I think. Oh, no, not melon. Oh yeah, melon. Like or not melon, but like honeydew. You know.
Google Translate says Nanjo.
Yeah, so a lemon.
Does that mean
melon?
Sure.
Melon.
Sure.
Yeah.
Question mark. Okay. Sure. Regardless, Smile didn't make it here to the finals, but Nanami did take it in the end. It looks like despite the fact that it was meant to be a best of 5, they did agree to a best of 3. They did agree to a bit of a shorter series instead. But regardless, congratulations to Nanami.
Yeah. Nami, who I feel like we haven't really been able to see pop off in the Sunrise Cups recently. I mean, he's been very active in them, but has typically bowed out in the semis or sometimes the quarterfinals. Now he's back, and he's kind of reclaimed that.
Oh, yeah. Has reclaimed that, and that does lead us into our show matches here as we do jump into the Lulu Cup number 31. This is our favorite part of the broadcast, actually, as we do have some fresh graphics here and some fresh.
These are
and if you notice,
yeah,
these are not even they're screenshots, mate.
They are screenshots.
God damn it! Shaking my head. They couldn't get a screen. They couldn't just like ask like Shin to look up at the camera.
Yeah.
He's just looking down at his keyboard. Like he's not even looking at the camera. Like what kind of photo is this? Like God damn it!
It's the best one they could find.
God damn it! What I will say though is that at least it's cropped nicely. You can see that there's a nice like little crop around himself in his chair.
Yeah. Well, Shin is cropped nicely.
Yes.
It's interesting missing artifact over here on Oliveira's side.
Yeah. You can see like they cropped out whatever's in between. Like, why do they do that?
Very blocky and angular.
What they
I don't think that was intentional.
That it has to be intentional.
I think that was
between
just
his
a glitch.
cheek and his shoulder.
No, I think that was a glitch that happens when you like whatchamacallit.
Well, you think they use like an AI to crop the photo?
No, that looks like a color select. If something is the same
color,
it's
color
just gonna
select
get picked up.
glitch.
Yeah, that's what they did. They just they did like the whatchamacallit, like the object crop, and then they filtered by color.
Why is there a white line around everything then?
Because they object cropped hastily.
Okay.
The color selection is not perfect because the color blurs a bit at the edges.
I mean, on the one hand, at least these are more recent screenshots of the two players, at least.
On the on the like right side of Oliveira's head, is that part of the background or is that part of the screenshot? There's like a little right angle.
I just saw that. That has to be behind the chair, right? That's behind that's like a part of the background behind the chair. For some
I
reason, that wasn't
when I
cropped
said
out.
when I said background, I meant like the art background.
No, yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
questioning if it was like part of the art or if that was. You know what?
No, no, no.
It
That's
blends
part
in
of the
pretty
photo.
well. It blends in
That
pretty well, you
it
know.
doesn't blend it at all. What do you mean?
Because we didn't notice it until now.
It stands out. It stands out a lot, actually. I guess it's a part of the background of the screenshot that was left in for some reason.
Huh.
Okay,
Okay.
there you go. Well,
Wait,
anyway,
but But yeah, I think they heard what we had to say last week where we were talking about how you have to beat a player who wins to get a clean graphic. This time though, they throw a little bit of a wrench in here because Oliveira, once again, I mean, last week was the first Liuli Cup in a long time that he lost. This week he's come back and he's come back to show why he is the big Liuli, and they still gave him the unflattering crop. They did a better job with Shin.
they did. They
They
did.
decided to just mix things up a little bit, be a little bit less
But
predictable. I respect
at
that.
least you can see Oliveira's face properly. You know, Shin's just looking
True.
down, and I mean, I feel like they probably could have found a better screenshot to use, but fine. Regardless, as you mentioned,
That's like the picture that you use when you go to get your passport or a driver's license, and they keep telling you to like adjust your head or whatever, and it just comes out unflattering.
uh huh. It happens. It happens. But again, I guess, some fresh screenshots regardless. I do love to see it. Congratulations, of course, to Oliveira. As you did mention, Oliveira does win the show match. It was a best of 7 between Oliveira and Shin. As you mentioned, historically, Oliveira has been doing very well in these big Lulu Cup show matches. Last week, there was a bit of a slip up, though. Oliveira did lose his series to Zaun, but here he pops off against Shin. And this is a very impressive result as well, considering that Shin is a very active player in the online tournament scene during the PTR, and this was on the PTR.
Yeah, Shin, he was one of the very first players to really. I mean, typically he is one of the very first players to figure out what's the most broken thing on the new patch and how to really. I shouldn't say that. Rogue is the one who figures out what is the most broken thing in the new patch. Shin is more of the one who figures out what's something that people are going to be expecting the least on the new patch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like Shin, he's not the most predictable players, and he's always a lot of fun to watch. I mean, we're going to be getting to more of his results later on, but he does trade and go blow for blow with Bjorn very regularly. And so to see him go down to Oliveira in a best of 7 in such a fashion is a very strong statement here. So once again, really impressive stuff here about Oliveira. I feel like we just keep saying this time and time again, but Oliveira, like, he is still very much so in form. Now, it would have been fun to have seen him invited to Home Story Cup.
Yeah. Take. If this is the last week, we're gonna be able to do this. We're gonna milk it for all it's worth.
I would say,
just saying,
it would be probably difficult because you need a lot of like a head notice to invite someone from China.
Yeah, you need a lot of a head notice. You need a lot of
That's why
heads up.
That's why you should have thought about this since the last Home Story Cup.
Exactly. What are you gonna do? What have you been doing since the last Home Story Cup? Dennis? Not inviting Oliveira. That's what you've been doing.
Yeah.
Shaking my head.
Shaking my head.
Uh-huh. It would be nice, though. It would be nice to get him over eventually, one day. Fingers crossed. But regardless, he's very informed. He's very informed currently, and even if we don't see him at Home Story Cup, we'll most likely be seeing Oliveira at Masters Coliseum. That is what I'll be looking forward to.
Almost certainly. And, if you can wait a little bit longer than that, we're going to be seeing him at Bellum Zagora as well.
True. Yeah. You know what? But what Bellum Zagora did? They announced their tournament like 8 months in advance.
Yeah.
You're laughing, but it's true. You're laughing, but it's true.
They did that.
It's true. Yeah.
They did that.
Like 8 months ahead of time. It's crazy. The planning, the foresight. How do they do it? Impossible.
How did they know
Yeah.
that they would have to invite Oliveira after coming in second place at the last one?
God damn. Shout out to Bill and Segura. They know
Yeah.
what they're doing.
They can see into the future.
Crazy. With that, we do have our next Lulu Cup, number 32.
little bit
Once
of a
they just
rarity.
used another
We get-
screenshot.
I was gonna say a little bit of rarity that we get 2 in 1 week, and it's not just 2 in 1
Uh-huh.
week, but 2 in 1 week with 2 screenshots. And once again, that's okay, a little bit of a cleaner crop on Oliveira.
I mean, kind of. I mean, once
Slightly.
again, though. I mean,
There's
the
no,
last
there's
one,
no white outline, so
there is no white outline. For the last one, at least Oliveira was looking forward. Here, they're having him look over to
well,
the
it's
side
because they're
instead.
looking at
Like,
each other.
true. Are they? Nightmare's not looking at Oliveira.
That's what you think. He's facing
Uh-huh.
him though.
He is facing him at least.
They
I
gotta
guess.
face each other.
Shin wasn't facing Oliveira. Shin was facing down.
Yeah, that's because Shin couldn't bear to face Oliveira.
I see.
I mean, look at that
Shit.
posture here from Nightmare.
Mhm.
Look at that. It's just upright.
Yeah.
You know.
The Chad
Very low.
posture.
Yeah.
True.
Look at it.
No slouch.
He's got that signature. What's it? How does that meme go? That signature up of superiority.
Uh-huh.
It's a Star Wars thing. I don't remember.
Star Wars thing?
It's a Star Wars meme. I don't remember.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a signature look of superiority.
Okay. I haven't heard that
Count
before, but
Dooku.
sure. Okay, sure. But yeah, I mean, you know what? I feel like we've set a precedent and now we have to commit to it. We better see a new screenshot of Oliveira and he better be looking a different direction every time from here on forward. Every time.
Next time he'll be looking up.
Yeah, up, left, down, diagonal, straight at the camera,
Yeah,
off to the side.
like that.
Yeah. We need to see all the faces of Oliveira.
Yeah. Upside down.
Upside down. There you go. POV.
POV.
So just his monitor, like his
Over the
POV,
shoulder,
just the
yeah.
monitor. Yeah. There you go.
There we go.
I mean, if they have access to it, then we need it. Do need it.
Yeah.
But once again, the trend continues here. But it was a bit of a closer series. It was a best of 7 between Oliveira and Nightmare, and it
Yeah.
went all the way to Game 7.
Yeah, I could have really seen this one going either way, but again, once again, Oliveira, this is his home turf. This is his stomping ground. So obviously, he's going to need to once again show the home field advantage. Nightmare, though, one of the closest, I think, in the past couple of weeks to coming to beat Oliveira. No, that's not true because Hero also went 3-4 against Oliveira a couple of weeks back, but obviously that was the off race battle where Hero did not know how to play Terran and just did the same thing 7 games in a row.
Shaking my head. But yeah, as you were saying, right, like this is still a very important or really impressive result here by Nightmare, especially considering that I just mentioned my I was a little bit concerned about his performance in Homestead Cup just because we haven't really seen too much of Nightmare over the past couple of weeks. But this show match was yesterday. This show match was last night. So clearly is in form. Exactly on his way over to Krefeld. Crazy that he was able to take a couple of games here off of Oliveira despite that. But yeah, really impressive nonetheless here to force the ace match. Maynard defeated Oliveira, but still clearly in form.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Go. That does lead us into the soup. StarCraft Global number 8.
Indeed, and ever since they posted that meme, I have to wonder what kind of soup they're drinking over there.
Yes. Give us your ramen recipes here, as it was a 4-player invitational. Now, despite the fact that this is the StarCraft Global, and usually I feel like they do feature international and foreign players, this time we have a full Korean roster.
Let me double check that because the last one was also full Korean roster. Yeah, it was Soup StarCraft Global 6 was the last time we had like a full international roster. So yeah, this week and last week, for whatever reason, they could only get Korean players.
Yeah. So just a Korean lineup here. We had Gumiho, Shin, Classic, and Nightmare. Once again, Nightmare was featured. We did see that Nightmare went to the ace match against Gumiho. That
Ooh.
might be a thing of a sign of things to come, as they are in the same group in Home Story Cup as well.
Okay. Okay. It's possible they do go back and forth. It's possible they can go back and forth quite a bit.
Yeah. Gumiho did win in the end, but again, Nightmare did make him work for it. Meanwhile, Shin popped off, and this is why it is that much more impressive that Oliveira defeated Shin in that previous result in that show match, because Shin, he takes down Classic 3-1, Shin takes down Gumiho 4-1, and Shin is this week's Super StarCraft Global Champion.
Well, I mean, that was. He has to be, right? I mean, he's got the Shin Ramyun.
He
got the
does,
soup.
true.
He's got the broth.
He does have the soup buff.
Yeah.
I actually had Shin Ramen today. For
Ooh.
breakfast. There you go. Put an egg in it.
Oh.
Do you ever have ramen without egg?
Sometimes I do.
Sometimes.
Sometimes I do, because eggs, they're alright, you know? I like eggs, but sometimes I don't want eggs. Sometimes
it's too much.
it's more that, yeah, I mean, specifically it's the boiled eggs, right? Sometimes I really crave that, and I'm like, yeah, that I need that to really bring the ramyun together. And then sometimes I'm like, I don't really want this right now, you know?
Have you ever gone the extra step and actually like fermented your own eggs like in the fridge? You know how they do the thing where they boil
ramen
the egg ahead of time.
I tried
Yeah,
doing that once. I tried doing that once. It came out hard, very hard, almost frozen.
It came out hard. Did you put it in the freezer?
No, I put it in the fridge, but I have a pretty. It rained that week, so my fridge was extra cold.
Like I put it in the mate. I got a strong fridge, okay? Like
a strong fridge. That's how we survive here, you know. No, I'm not even kidding. There are times where you put things in the back of my fridge, not my freezer, my fridge, and then you take it out a day later, and there are ice crystals around it.
It sounds like you may have to. It sounds like you might have. There might be something wrong with the fridge, okay? If it's
there probably is. And also, I don't think I adjusted correctly from the recipe as well, because I think the recipe I found said like you need to prepare this 3 days ahead of time or something like that. But really, I could have probably gotten away with only 1 day ahead of time. Yeah, so I remember now, even after thawing it out, it also was like too tart because it was fermented too long. So I needed to adjust for my situation, which is what I didn't do that time.
Okay.
I'll do that in the future.
Yeah. There you go. And I haven't tried it myself. It's a little bit daunting, but definitely.
Yeah. I also come from a place where century eggs, which are fermented duck eggs, you can buy those just on the shelf. They're pretty good. But I typically put that in kanji rather than ramen. So porridge rather than ramen. So
yeah, the alphabet.
Yeah.
There you go. With that, congratulations to Shin.
Right, we have. Right, we're talking about the soup.
He won the soup. He won the soup.
He
won the how much the $125 USD soup.
There we go.
So
you can buy so much Shin with that.
He can get a lot of Shin.
You can buy the premium Shin.
Oh, true. Have you had that yet?
Beef broth. I did. It was way too rich.
What does that mean? What is it? How does it compare to the regular? I've never had it.
Okay, well, I should preface this and say that that was also a day I didn't have that much of it. I didn't have that much of an appetite after making it, so I left it alone for a little too long, so it's absorbed too much of the broth. But no, yeah, it definitely has that, that, I don't want to say grease, but, that kind of fat. That kind of like, that bone marrow kind of thing.
Yeah.
I imagine would be pretty good if I maybe put more water, but I'm trained, right, to only put half the recommended amount.
Yeah.
And so in this case, it probably would have been better if I added more water to the pot.
Because I was gonna say because you spoke about how you left it alone a little bit and that did cause a little of water to evaporate or otherwise be like soaked into the noodles. But like that's usually how you approach like Shin ramen, right? Like usually you don't want it to be too brothy, from my understanding. Um,
I
but
like a little bit. I like a little bit of soup that I can spoon into my
mhm.
mouth, but like not
Yeah,
too much.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
In this case,
Okay,
though,
okay.
a lot.
Was it spicy?
It wasn't, which was disappointing.
Oh, so it's not spicy. It's just
Yeah,
like
it's
savory.
non-spicy. It's just savory. Yeah.
Ah, okay, okay. Interesting. It's very different.
Yeah.
All right. Soup.
Soup. Shit. He can afford a lot of them.
He
He can
can,
afford
he
a lot of
can.
it. No.
All of it, all of it. Let's go. Speaking of soup, we have the Super 7 number 20. Another show match here. This time, though, a best of 7 show match between Kior and Nightmare. And again, I feel like we haven't seen too much of Kior recently. He's not the most active player when it comes to a lot of these online open cups. But great to see Kior featured here. And mate, Kior, he popped off.
Popped off. I keep underestimating Cure. It's Cure,
Yeah.
Elaser, and a couple of other players who I keep underestimating. And once again, Cure coming in here, and he's proving why he's never one to be underestimated. He popped off.
Yeah.
Not only beating Nightmare, who you know for a fact is preparing hard for his Home Circuit Cup group, but defeating him 4-1.
Oh, yeah.
Practically sweeping him after the first map.
Exactly. You know, stronger showing here from Kira than we saw out of Gumiho in his series against Nightmare. So really impressive stuff here by Kira. And I have to echo what you said as well. I think it's really easy to kind of overlook Kira just because he's not as active, right? When we look at the online tournament scene, we see Beyond time and time again. We see even Gumiho dipping in from time to time as well. Kira less so. I feel like Kira he shows up to like maybe one KSL every like couple of months. Like it's it's just not really too much of a thing. So because we don't get to see him as much, it's hard to really gauge his skill at times. So, but despite that, I appreciate that he was a part of this show match, and yeah, clearly showing that he is in form.
Yeah. That's why it would be nice to see him at Home Circuit Cup, but
It would be, man. Yeah, there's limited slots, right? You know, there's what 32, 24, 28. You can't get everyone involved.
37.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. As up next, we had a very unique show match. Now, first things first, I am a little bit surprised that this was not a Hyper One show match. This was a Rings show match
Exactly.
instead.
Okay. So here's the context. Here's the context. Because I asked about this. Apparently, this show match sparked from the chat of Ring's stream. Somebody in the chat sponsored this show match. And also, I'm pretty sure that Wikipedia is not updated because last I checked, they were at like 14 to 25 or something like that. So I think not all matches have been added to Wikipedia yet.
I mean, it's still, regardless, it's still not done yet. So
Are they still
have
still
more
playing?
matches to play out. Oh yeah,
Are they
14 to 25.
Like-
That's not enough to hit the. That's not enough to hit best of 69.
Have they like been playing like the entire
like
3 days?
30. You need like 30.
I think
plus,
they took a break.
35 or something like that.
Took a break.
They did take a break. Yeah, I think you need to win 35 in order to. Yeah, 35 in order to be the champion. They haven't reached that yet. It's 25 that I believe. Quanta? Was it Quanta or 3-point that reached that way? Either way.
Yeah, so what I was gonna say here coming into this is that one, we actually casted Rings a couple weeks ago in the Lima League, and we did find out that Rings he does actually stream on Chizik. So if you go over to Chizik, he does have his own stream there. He does have his own platform. So yeah, I wasn't too familiar with how popular his stream was, but really interesting to see that he is now casting this show match series. As a reminder, this is a show match series in StarCraft Evolution. This is not in SC2, which makes sense between Quanta and 3-point.
It's both. Some are in StarCraft Evolution.
Okay, so
and also sometimes they switch races as well.
Yeah, they matched here when it comes to which mode they did play in. Yeah, and hopefully it gets updated completely. As you mentioned, it looks like it's going to take a while to sift through the VODs. Bearing in mind as well that Chizik VODs they are deleted over time, so hopefully they can quickly update that while they can before it all is removed. So yeah, interesting, crazy. Best of 69.
Yeah. When's the last time we had one of those? A couple of years ago, actually. Parting versus Kiwion.
Yeah, there's been a couple of best of 69s in the history of StarCraft. What I'm most impressed by, though, I say impressed by, usually whenever we have a best of 69, they play it out in one sitting. Like they have breaks, of course, but they do it all like usually like in one night. Maybe they sometimes break it up into 2 days.
No. They wake up at 6 a.m. and they go all the way to
all day, papi, all day. And then they get sleep deprived, and then the games, they start making less and less sense. But here it looks like they at least have the wherewithal. They're like, you know what, we'll do this over like a week. You know, we'll take some breaks here and there. We'll come back to it. We'll take our time.
Yeah. Make sure everything's right, you know. You also have to decide the maps as well, because a lot of interesting older maps coming in, and not too many repeats. See ley lines in here a couple times, but yeah, other than that.
Yeah. So we'll see how this show match concludes. I think Yaki was saying that Quanta has a lead currently? ? Maybe.
I don't remember. I think so, but
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll get the updates eventually. We'll get those updates. Until then, though, we do have our next big show match. The Bastards Big Brain Belts number 77 did take part. And do we have a theme this time? Is the question.
So we're gonna look out for no, that's not the theme. I would say Americas versus EU, but then you go to the main event and it's EU versus EU. So
true. They messed up. Huh? Did mess up a little here, but regardless, we do have our show matches. We had Danilo versus Patches in the first best of 5 to go the way of Danilo. We had Hydra versus Mute, also in the best of 5 to go the way of Hydra in the end, 3-1. We had Fianta versus Chem once again, El Chamaco. I feel like they've been featuring like him every now and then in these show matches, and he just keeps causing these massive upsets. I think we saw him take down Baby Marine previously, and now he 3-0s Fianta as well. Again, Chem, he still got it. He is not one to be taken lightly at all.
Not at all. The best player in all of Mexico right now.
Oh, yeah. In all of Mexico. Meanwhile, we had a best of 5 between Spirit and Lambo. Okay, great to see Lambo returning once again after a long hiatus. Did go the distance here, but did barely go the way of Spirit.
Yeah, 3-2. That's a really good sign, I think, for Home Story Cup here, specifically for Lambo, as we were questioning what his form was looking like, and it does feel like it's only been somewhat recently when he was able to really get back on the grind and get those custom games out. But going to distance against Spirit, I feel like that can only mean good things for him.
For sure. Does mean that he is in form, he is in shape. Did go down, of course, but did go to the ace match. So very impressive stuff there by Lambo. Congratulations to Spirit, as he does claim the win. And then we head on over to, once again, a bit of a more streamer-focused event because of the end of the KSRC. There is now a time slot available on Mondays for European region. And once again, 2 weeks in a row, we have Roddy hosting his event for his chat for, the audience out there.
Indeed, specifically for his audience of 5K MMR and below.
There we go. So we had a full round of 16 bracket here. We had Sal Uppetry. He actually got involved.
Yeah, popped off quite a bit here. Had a very close semifinals match against Magneth, the eventual champion.
Yeah, Magneth, he was able to pop off. He took down J Money, Jesu, Uppetry, and Cobblestone. Likewise, we had Steadfast taking part as well. You do love to see it. We had Bo Mioja, we had Gref. We had plenty of players that we do recognize. We had the Romanian Light. He's back.
He is.
Quickly, this is a different light than the Romanian light that we know. That was actually confusing because people were also wondering if he made a comeback, but no, this is a different light that's also from Romania.
How many of you are there? God damn.
So this is not to be confused with Romanian Light.
We also have Korean
not to be
Light.
confused with Romanian Light. This is Romanian Light instead.
Yeah, there's Romanian Light. Not to be confused with Romanian Light. Not to be confused with Korean Light. Not to be confused with Korea Boo Light. That's you. That's.
So because people started keeping track on Wikipedia, there have appeared 12 different lights so far.
Ah,
There we go.
there you go. Only 12.
How many from Romania?
At least 6.
At least 2.
It's gotta be, you
know. But regardless, congratulations to Magnath. He does take the win in the end. Again, that was hosted over on Roddy's channel. And with that, does conclude our show matches here for the week. We can now jump into the OSC events. We have the OSC Elite Rising Star number 13. This has been an event that's been being held over the past couple of weeks, and we have some updates.
We have some updates indeed. Some very big updates. First off, we have our first finalist confirmed. Young Yakov did take down Chance in the upper bracket finals, and now he's going to be waiting there in those grand finals. And also in the lower bracket, Night Phoenix popping up here against Nicorakt, making it through.
Yeah, so I mean, a couple of big things here, of course, to quickly go over. Young Yakov, the most recent Fire Grow Cup champion, he is now making it to the grand finals, clearly showing that he's still in form. I mean, we saw him go down to Strange, and I feel like that really goes to show just how strong Strange is more than anything. And Yakov, clearly, he is still looking very powerful. 2-0 Art takes down Chance 3-1. As you were mentioning, though, we do have those updates here in the lower brackets. Fiant versus Iba. Ooh, the Zerg brothers are going to be facing off here in the lower half of the bracket. Curious to see if that is even going to be as easy. I would not put it past Iba. He may play Protoss there. I say brothers, they're I kind of like they're like a pair of Zoomers, you know. They come in pairs and they do often.
I was gonna say, do we have to update the K drama lore? Do we have to?
Oh no!
Have a whole arc about.
We may as well. Yes, we may as well. Oh no! But yes, Fiant and Iba, they will face off against each other. When it goes up against Arts, when it goes up against Night Phoenix alongside Chance as well. With the downfall of Nicorakt, that is the final Terran player, I guess the only Terran, knocked out of the tournament, as Nicorakt, he was rocking that Terran flag for the event.
Yeah, it's nice to see that there's a little bit of blue in this bracket. You know, it's not just knocked out immediately, but Nicorakt was the strongest Terran player in this event, the only Terran player in this part of the bracket, and will end up falling to Night Phoenix, which honestly a little bit unexpected. I mean, I'm always cheering for Night Phoenix. I know that he has it in him to take out some of the strongest players on a good day, but I wasn't expecting the good day to be this recent. You know, I feel like he has been a little bit less active recently, and Nicorakt, he has been one of the rising Terran players from Europe, so yeah, I was definitely expecting this to go a bit of a different direction. So very impressive result here from Night Phoenix.
Oh yeah, exactly. Very impressive stuff there by Night Phoenix, especially because Night Phoenix hasn't been too active recently. So great to see the return of Night Phoenix. Takes out Nicorakt, and we'll be seeing more of Night Phoenix in the coming weeks for the OSC Elite Rising Star 13. Scrolling on over, we have the OSC King of the Hill, weekly number 192. Oh boy, we had quite a performance here by the one, the only. Yep. So many wins under his belt. Bappy. Oh my god.
Bappy. Yeah, Bappy. I mean, this was the week of Poland, it feels like, right? Bappy, he popped off at the start, and then, you know, he took 6 games in a row, finally fell to Honmono. Honmono himself going to be able to take out Skills as well, but falls to Shameless. And then Geralt comes in, wins another 5 games in a row, and then in the end, he's taken out by yet another Polish Protoss player in Christianer. Poland, man, they popped off.
Yeah, Poland and Protoss popping off here this week as they took the majority of the wins. Homeowner had the one. Homeowner, the Terran, he had the 1 win there. Sorry, 2 wins against Bappy and Skillis. Very impressive, might I add, that he did bring Skillis down. Skillis, I would say, is one of the more notable players that did rock up this week, but went down to the cheese and the aggression of Homeowner. We know how much of an animal Homeowner can be, and I'm sure he cheesed the hell out of Skillis. I'm sure that was a very short best of 1. But that is what is fun about this tournament series, is it is purely best of 1. So anything can and will happen. As you mentioned, a very impressive result there by Geralt, going on that crazy kill streak. And that bodes well for Geralt coming into Home Story Cup. We have been praising Geralt for quite some time. You know, he has been improving a lot as a player, and is always out there, always on that grind.
Yeah. Without a doubt. I mean, he made a little bit of a mistake recently to shave the mustache, but I mean, maybe he's growing it back, and that's why.
Mhm.
That's why he's getting buffed again.
It's possible. It's possible. We'll see if he does rock up with that mustache. That'd be amazing. As heading on over, we have the OC King of the Hill 193, which we did cover here on the channel. Likewise, the Polish Protoss players also popping off this week.
Yeah, quite a bit. Geralt and Cristiano, obviously, the big names here, but also Mana getting a win under his belt against Forjumi.
Some,
I was just gonna say, I actually did bench watch some of this last night. I know that the players had a lot of fun with some of the old school maps coming in once again. Demi versus Geralt is the one that I remember. They were kind of bantering a little bit, and had a couple of old school builds come out in that match.
Yeah. If you remember, they played on Abyssal Reef, and they were talking about Cyril versus Neeb, if you recall, going over the Young series. So the nostalgia was real, but quickly going over it, Cristiano. So Cristiano started things off as the reigning King of the Hill. If you recall, he was the last champion of the previous King of the Hill, and he had a crazy result. He took down Solar. I was so shocked. I was like, yo, Solar, when was the last time we saw Solar in an OSC King of the Hill? It's been a very long time. He showed up. He very quickly left. As Cristiano, he knocked him down.
Yeah. He was living too much in his world without Protoss. Wasn't prepared.
I feel like this is the beginning of Solar's villain arc. Like we spoke,
he leaves Vitality, which means that he's not invited to Home Story Cup. He keeps getting Protoss opponents when it's the last thing that he wants. And on top of all that, the military's like ticking down the days. Oh yeah, this is Solar's villain arc. This is why he joined Falcons. He's joining. This is why he joined sides with Rogue and with Bunny.
Exactly. So Solar, I wish him the best. Again, he had just a really rough start here, and as you mentioned, because he's not going to be at Home Story Cup, he has that much more incentive to compete in all these other online events. Does go down to Cristiano. Cristiano looking very strong in that game, by the way. He did embrace a more immortal Archon heavy composition, even though Immortals had been nerfed in the most recent patch. If you recall, their attack speed has been reduced by 10%. Despite that mass Immortal from Cristiano, where he had like 5 or 6 Immortals with his push, it was insane. Still overwhelmed Solar in the end.
Right.
Yeah. Just Solar, yeah. So really impressive stuff there by Cristiano. Heading on over, we had Forjumi. Still was Forjumi. This was before the breakup, before the before the divorce.
No, yeah.
When he was still whole.
Still had that four, you know?
Exactly. Did take down Cristiano. It was a short-lived victory. Mana took him down. Then we had the win streak of Geralt, then into Mixu, into Nikrat, into UD Soldier towards the end. The most unlikely of heroes, UD Soldier. He popped off against Nikrat, against DJ Machine, and against Baby Marine. It was crazy to see UD Soldier popping off. And then we had the German Terran himself pop off at the end as the final King of the Hill, Moja.
Hell yeah. Very unexpected ending coming in here. I mean, very unexpected final 5 games to begin with. Nikrat getting his revenge on Night Phoenix, but then falling to UED Soldier. UED Soldier, who is somebody who is very active, but hasn't really had a big result yet, the same way that some of his contemporaries like Strange or Shameless, etc. had. This time goes on a 3-game win streak against very tough players. GG Machine as well. I mean, another one of these CIS players who I feel like has been getting results. UED Soldier managed to beat him, beat Baby Marine, and then finally at the end, beat the Rising Star, the fresh face out of Germany in Moja.
Yeah. Moja popping off at the very end. So GG well played. It was a very exciting, very intense OSC King of the Hill. Always a lot of good fun covering this online weekly, and I'm sure we're gonna have more weeks to come as well, as we're almost at 200, almost at week 200. Great.
Just 7 more.
Just 7 more. Meanwhile, we now enter the Open Cups. The Open Cups were upon us here this week, starting off with CSO Cup 78.
Indeed, once again, the Polish Protoss boys. This time, Cristiano securing his reign for another week, defeating Geralt in the grand finals 3-0.
Yeah, Cristiano getting his revenge. If you remember, I believe it was last week's Sparkling Tuna Cup where Geralt took down Cristiano. Here, Cristiano takes down Geralt in a 3-0 finish. So again, they do go back and forth. Even though Cristiano 3-0s Geralt, the next time they face, I'm sure Geralt would win, and then Cristiano, and then Geralt. They do trade back and forth in these series, so very close matches between them. Again, shout out to all the other competitors here tonight. Nikish got third place over Nickrat. Very impressive result there by Nikic. We do rate Nickrat quite highly, but again, just really close matches overall, and congratulations to Cristiano.
Yeah, well deserved.
Oh, yeah. That leads us into Sparkling Tuna Cup, aka the Sparkling Chris Tunaner Cup, if you will, as Cristiano he also pops off. I did mention, though, that last week Cristiano was the runner-up. He was the runner-up to Geralt. Geralt did win last week's Sparkling Tuna Cup. This week there was no Geralt, but we still had the Polish versus Polish finals because Art stepped up instead.
Indeed. R2 is the Geralt's champion, I believe, is how it works, or is he the Bard? I didn't watch The Witcher.
You didn't watch the...
Art coming in here.
We're not gonna talk about your viewing tendencies, yeah. Okay, we already had that discussion during the pre-show. Just don't worry about it. But yes, RT did have a strong performance here. He played purely PvPs, even against Eba, to make it to the finals.
Eba, yo. What's going on? Eba committed to mirror matchups this week.
Yeah.
ZVZ against Zertanis, and then PvP against Lunacy, and then PvP against Art? What's going on, Eba? Like, I thought this was the opposite reason of why he started off racing.
Do you think that was the 4 in Jumi? Do you think that was the Protoss? Do you think
that was it? Oh, he's buffed now. Yeah.
Oh no. Not like this, but it could all be coming together here. As you mentioned, Eba, he took down Lunacy with his Protoss, did fall to Art with his Protoss as well. It was a close PvP is what I will say. And then we had the grand finals, went all the way to the ace match, a very close PvP between Cristiano and Art. Cristiano, he barely did clutch it out, went all the way to game 5. Very close series there between those two players, very intense. But Cristiano, he does reprise his role as the King of the Sea, as the big tuna.
Sparkling tuna, yeah.
There you go.
There we go.
With that does lead us into the Wardy TV Monday. This was the day afterwards, of course, on Monday. Sparkling Tuna Cup was on Sunday. This leads into Monday, where we did have our open tournament, where we tried once again to deny the Max Pax versus Clem finals. Yeah,
and we still got it in the end. But really quickly, though, I believe that this is the last event that we have in the previous patch in 5.0.13.
True. Yeah. Wardy TV Mondays is one of the few events that did not take part in the PTR. Sparkling Tuna Cup was on the PTR, KSRC, Pigos are Mondays, that was all on the PTR, all on the upcoming patch. But Wardy TV's Monday events, they were on the current patch. So bear that in mind when going over these results. As you mentioned, they're starting from next week. Once it does return, it will be on the new ladder map pool and the new patch.
Yeah, current patch, if you will. And yeah, as you were mentioning, we were trying to avoid the prophesized or the destined or the rule of Max Pax versus Clem in the finals, but we did end up getting it in the end here. Very close series. Max Pax coming out ahead in that 3-2, but some very impressive results elsewhere in the bracket. Specifically, I'm looking at Rex here, who managed to take a game off of Clem.
Yeah, Rex, he was able to make Clem bleed early on. Very nicely done by our Taiwanese Zerg player. Scrolling down, we were casting Nightmare versus Solar. That's where we started our series, if I remember correctly. And Solar, I'm telling you, mate, the villain arc. It's Solar gets knocked out in the round of 16 at the hands of Nightmare. And Nightmare, he popped off. He didn't just take down Solar, he took down Bjorn as well in the quarterfinals.
Took down Bjorn in the quarterfinals. Managed to take a map off of Max Pax. I'm sad that I wasn't awake at this time, because Max Pax versus Nightmare, that's a PvP for the ages. I'm so sad that it was only a best of 3.
very, very intense PvP between MaxPax and Nightmare. Nightmare was able to take a game on Dynasty. Very intense game on Dynasty as well, as you can imagine. I just realized that's, I think, maybe one of the last times we're going to be casting on Dynasty because we are done. Thankfully, we're done with Dynasty. Exactly. Shin.
You know what he's going to do? He's going to come up with strategy for Amygdala.
True. Unironically, he might
or something.
Or even El Dorado as well. It's very possible. Yeah. So we'll keep an eye on Shin. But regardless, MaxPax did win it all in the end. As you mentioned, he takes down Nightmare and he takes down Clem as well.
Okay, like we'll keep our eye on Shin. We're gonna make sure that he does. We're gonna make sure he's straight to jail if he does anything.
See, look, we will monitor Shin and we will do something about it as well. Okay, we're gonna. Aye. Oh no, we'll send the family over. As again, MaxPax did take it. When it comes to the finals, a fun fact, it was a reverse sweep. Clem had a 2-0 lead over MaxPax. One more game was all that Clem needed, and MaxPax, he brought it back. What I will say, if you do tune into the VODs, Clem did look very emotional as well mid-series. I want to say it was on Alkione where we saw a bit of an earlier GG from Clem. But yeah, we saw the mental kind of fall by the wayside a little bit here in this series, but it was really close nonetheless. It was a very close series nonetheless, and I think more importantly, I think we've spoken about this. About the fact that it is really cool to see that even though Clem was the more dominant player for a long time, MaxPax, he is clawing his way back in, and now they're going back and forth again.
Yeah. Starting to trade blows once again. MaxPax once again becoming a bit of a rival to Clem, at least in the online series. That reminds me a little bit. I mean, since we're talking about MaxPax right now, I know we finished talking about Home Story Cup earlier on, but I was imagining the funniest thing that could possibly happen is MaxPax going to Home Story Cup, but not announcing that he's going. So he's just somebody in the crowd that nobody knows who he is.
True. There you go.
And then after Home Story Cup, he'll be like, I had a great time at Home Story Cup. I didn't play in it, but you know, that'd be the funniest thing in the world. Yeah.
That would be beautiful one day. I mean, you know what? It's possible he might have already done that. Obviously, he didn't post, but it's possible. Yeah. Could have been in the crowd. But with that, that leads us into the next day here in Pigosaur Cup number 8. This was the first event on the new patch, on the current patch in the map pool as well. There were definitely some concerns coming into it because the patch had just gone live, and there was some concerns that it was bugged. Fun fact, I think it was like 1 hour before the tournament started where the map pool was updated to actually add Abyssal Reef, King's Cove, and Neon Violet Square. So it was very close to tournament start.
Yeah, if I recall, the patch went live and there were only 6 maps.
Yes.
Initially. Yep. And then it was only a little bit later they were like, oh, right, we need 9 maps in the pool. Which actually you don't. 7 is all you technically need, but you know, if we're gonna commit to 9, because EWC wants best of 9s, then so that's why you gotta keep those additional 3 maps in mind. Yeah.
That was implemented just in time for the tournament, just in time for the cast. And when it comes to the event as well, we had some very interesting results. As opposed to the Wardy TV event, this was, of course, on the current patch. Shin was able to have a solid performance here. He took down Creator 2-1. Great to see the return of Creator. We mentioned before that Creator, he's looking for a team. He just finished climbing a mountain. Creator himself went to France as well on a bit of a vacation a couple of weeks ago. Did just come back. And Shin did bring him down, but did go to the ace match.
Are there mountains in France?
I'm sure there's like a mountain maybe.
There's gotta be at least a couple, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big place. Alps?
I'm sure there's like a small mountain there in France. I'm sure.
At least 100 meters above sea level at the very least.
Yeah. I would imagine they do the tour of the France on the mountain.
True. Right? Yeah.
Like to start and then they go down.
Mountain. Yeah. Do they bike up and then just go down, or do they start at the top and then they?
If they don't, they better. I mean, why else? What are you doing with the tour?
Yeah. Fix your.
Oh, God. No, we love you, Dennis. We love you. God damn it.
Art's coming out.
Every time. But yeah, with that, Shinny takes down Creator 2-1. Takes down Beyond 2-0. Again, the rivalry between Beyond and Shin continues. Again, they keep trading back and forth in series. This week, Shin takes down Beyond 2-0. They're kind of like the Korean version of Clem and Max Packs, where they just keep facing off time and time again. Speaking of Max Packs, did face off in the finals against Shin.
Yeah, that's 2 tournaments under his belt within the span of 15 hours, less than 24 hours. I know that.
True. In less than 24 hours. Did also go to the ace match. Max Packs went to the ace match against Clem. Max Packs also went to the ace match here against Shin as well. It's a very close series in the end, and Max Packs does clutch it out. But once again, really cool to see that Shin is becoming more and more competitive with Max Packs. Like, we have seen Shin defeat Max Packs over the past couple of months during the PTR, and even here it goes to the ace match. I feel like, say a year ago, if we saw these two face off, I feel like we would assume it'd be like a 3-0 in favor of Max Packs. Like, Max Packs, he is like a dominant force in the region, but it feels like recently Shin has been improving quite a lot.
Yeah. Doing very well for himself there.
For sure. Max Packs does win it. To quick note as well is that Wayne also took a map of a Max Packs, a very surprising result in the quarterfinals. We weren't quite expecting that. Unfortunately, I don't know if many people were casting it. I know I was trying to look for it at the time after I saw the results. I don't know if anyone was covering it. I hope someone was. Again, just a really surprising result as well in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, really, really close stuff. Could have ZVZ finals for all we know.
Yeah, could have been. As with that, so that does take us to the Elite League November finals here. Of course, we were the official English casters for the November finals. And with that, that does lead us here into our top 8, into a pretty wild event, to be honest. Not really the finals that we were expecting coming into this.
Yeah, ZBZ finals in the end being won by Dark, who honestly... it felt like he was just angry that day. He was out for blood. 2-0 Clem, and then 3-0 Björn, and then coming into the grand finals, only dropping a single map to Shin.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, some crazy results here. Something that I should emphasize, if you're watching live, you would already know this, but we did have to wait. I think we had like a 20 to 30 minute break at one point. Waiting for Clem. So we finished all of our series. We did all the quarterfinals matches. We had Clem versus Dark remaining, and Clem was asleep. Clem, he was still
too early.
He was still in bed. Yeah, he was still in bed, and we were all trying to get in contact with him. At the time, Crank and Ryung, they were casting from France. They were also, right next door to Clem. They were making sure they were trying to wake him up. Eventually, he did arise.
They were broadcasting from the top of the Eiffel Tower.
There you go. Now, to be fair, it isn't necessarily completely the fault of Clem. It was also because he was told to be ready, I want to say at around like midday in Europe, around midday. But some of these earlier series were a little bit faster, so we were ready like a quarter to 12. We were ready like a quarter to 12. So because of that, Clem wasn't necessarily awake. His alarms were going off and did eventually play, but did need some time to, get out of bed and wake up and stuff like that. And maybe he was a little bit groggy, maybe he was a little bit sleep deprived in his series. You could definitely make an argument for that. Yes. Had some coffee as well. Basically, he rolled out of bed and then rolled right into his chair to compete against Dark. And it is, you don't want to start your day playing against Dark. Okay, Let me tell you.
Oh, do you? Because I feel like after that, your day can only go up.
True. Uphill from there. True. Always looking at the bright side of things. But yeah, that was the state of Clem coming into that series. So because of that, you could definitely argue that he wasn't at his 100%. He wasn't fully necessarily awake. Regardless, Dark did look dominant, not just against Clem, but against Björn as well. 3-0 over Björn. And then he had a dominant showing against Shin as well. I know it was a 4-1, but Dark, for the most part, was in control of most of those games. He was looking terrifying in that ZVZ. Oh, yeah.
I feel like this happens with Dark, though, in a best of 7 when he is in form and when he is dominant, and specifically when he knows that he's the favorite going into something. In a best of 7, he'll have just one game where he does something random or something fun, where he's like, I already know I'm going to win this series, so I'm just going to do something. I'm just going to do something out of the ordinary and see where that takes me. And you know what? Sometimes it results in a 4-0.
Sometimes,
more often than not, though, it results in a 4-1.
Regardless, well played. Congratulations to Dark. When it comes to Shin, of course, Shin also had a strong performance. He was able to take down Zan 2-1. Was a close initial best of 3. Then he took down Hero. Also went all the way to the ace match. A very intense, very close match here versus Hero. There's definitely a world where Hero could have made it to the finals instead, but Shin did barely come out on top.
You know what world that is? That's a world where Dynasty is still in the map pool.
True. Where Shin plays on Dynasty and he loses. You're not wrong. But yeah, I'm sure Dark was also very happy to see that Shin took Hero down. Dark and Hero do have a history with each other, and it is usually in favor of Hero when they do face off against each other. But Dark didn't have to worry about Hero in the end, as Shin took care of him in his stead. And yeah, with that, we had that ZVZ Finals. The finals, ZVZ Finals that we don't often get to see, especially in the Korean scene. Doesn't often happen.
Yeah.
So with that, I do recommend tuning into the VODs. For those who do not know, we didn't just cast it live, but the VODs are also on YouTube. The VODs, they are currently, they just went live on YouTube a couple of hours ago as we were going live here on the PondCast. So they're all on YouTube, ready for you to enjoy. So do embrace them while you can before Home Story Cup. Plenty of VODs available to get into.
Oh, yeah.
With that, though, we have something near and dear to our hearts. Up next, we have the SEL4 Championship. We have been avoiding going over this event because, of course, we casted it via replays last week, and now we can finally go over the results of the tournament.
Indeed, we can. Oh boy! And speaking of Dark being dominant, the Dark came into SEL. He was a big question mark for me, at least, because he hasn't been playing in the SEL weeklies. He wasn't my favorite to make it through all the way, but right in the first round, or at least right in the first round of playoffs, he takes out the heavy favorite coming into this. And then the semifinals, he takes out the other favorite that I was predicting to go far. And then he takes it all the way 4-1 against Spirit, who honestly, I wasn't really expecting. Well, coming into the tournament, I wasn't really expecting Spirit to make it too far, but I think after his group stage, after I was able to witness his group stage matches, that was when I was convinced. Then that was when I was like, okay, Spirit, he can go the distance here, and yeah, he did until he faced Dark.
Yeah, so this is an event that, again, we didn't go over because we're avoiding it, because we were casting it at the time. But, Yako, I believe we casted the first 3 groups together. Group A, B, and C we did cover together here on the channel. Group D, I did solo cast. But coming into this, again, the group stage, what were your thoughts as well? Because, again, I think this was your first time covering and casting StarCraft Evolution.
Yeah. Well, I haven't been able to see the VODs yet because they haven't been published yet.
Hank? Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, but for the group that I missed, honestly, I was a little disappointed that it seemed that Euthermal, for one reason or another, it seemed that he rolled Terran when he played SC2.
Yeah, I can confirm. He did pick random, but he rolled Terran. Like every single time. So it was basically just TVTs, TVZs, and TVPs out of home honor. Sorry, out of Euthermal.
Yeah, but did make it out first in his group, so exciting stuff there. Dark making it out second in his group. Obviously, he had to make it out of the group stage in order to win it. So.
Yeah, so Euthermal, he had some very, very specialized builds. Very specialized builds coming into it. He was able to catch Dark with his pants down. Euthermal specifically had a very interesting 2-rack stim timing for his Brood War Terran. He was picking Brood War Terran more often than not. is what I will say. And when it comes to the group stage, I would say that his highlight series was against Honmono. We had a very intense TVT between Euthermal and Honmono. It was very clutch. We had some ghosts. We had some lockdowns, of course, popping off as well. That was definitely the highlight of Group D was Euthermal versus Honmono. Like TVT in StarCraft Evolution just hits different, and I'm all for it. All for it.
Oh yeah, I think I missed the TVTs.
Mm-hmm.
No, because the cast is the SCC versus Spirit. But that was like that was just one series. So
for sure. But yeah, with that, we had Euthermal and Dark making it out of Group D. Out of Group A, we had Shin and Killian making it out of Group A. Coming into that, of course, we had a bit of a question mark over Mana. We had a question mark over Killian as well, and we were very impressed here that Killian was able to make it out, despite the fact that he's more of a caster nowadays.
Yeah, especially because this was a group with Shin and Rebellion, who, coming into this, I had Shin as my number one favorite coming in, and Rebellion, I would say probably top 4 or top 5 in the tournament. So Killian popped off.
Yeah, he looks very, very strong here in the group stage. Likewise, coming into Group B, we had Quanta and Classic. These are two heavy hitters that I had my eyes on definitely as well. Wayne was going to be a question mark for me. I think it was a question mark for you as well to see how well he would perform. But Wayne, alas, got knocked out by Rumiath, got knocked out by Quanta. Wayne had a bit of a harder time here. But I think a part of that is also that Wayne, I don't think he actually spent too much time playing and practicing StarCraft Evolution, so he was coming in a little bit out of practice into this group.
Yeah, for sure. I remember coming into Group B specifically, Quanta and Classic making it out. Not too surprising, but I was predicting Classic at number 1 and Quanta at number 2. Quanta, though, popped off. Took out Classic 2-0.
Yeah, Quanta looking very strong in that group stage. Scrolling over here to Group C, we had 3-Point and Spirits making it out of the group.
Yes.
I think our eyes were on Skillus. They were on the STC, but Piotr, he came out in second place instead.
That he did. 3-Point coming into this, he was my number 2 favorite coming into the tournament. Top 3, I would say. He was my top 3 pick for favorites to win the whole thing, and so obviously he came out number 1, and I was a bit more up in the air with who the number 2 spot would be, whether it was Spirit, STC, or Skillus. Personally, I was rooting for STC because I knew that if he didn't make it out, which he didn't, Kiwian would have been merciless.
True.
So I was rooting for him there, but yeah, Spirit, he really... I remember specifically in the first couple of games, it felt like he wasn't too familiar with Brute War Terran, but by the time we got to game number 3 of Spirit versus Skillus, he figured things out and he was like, oh, okay, I just need to build this to get that. And from there, he just went on an absolute tear against the STC and then later in the playoffs against Quanta and against Kiwian.
Yeah, I do agree with you there. That again, it did feel like Spirit, who was kind of like figuring things out on his own. If you remember, who was playing Mech? He was playing Mech with his Brood War against Skillus. He was going like Mass Goliath and going into like Vulture Tech, and it was crazy. It was wild. As you mentioned, though, he did make it through in the end. It was really cool to see Spirit again learning on the fly. Very impressive stuff there in the group stage. And as you mentioned, he had to rely on purely his TVT here in the playoff brackets. We head on over here to the playoff brackets. What I will say is that honestly, Quanta versus Spirit was quite competitive. I do recommend it. It was a very close series. It was a 3-0, but basically every game, Quanta rocked up with a crazy build and it didn't work, and he played from behind. So I want to say, if I remember correctly, like one game he like opened up like proxy BC. There was another game where he went for like a stim timing. There was another game where he went to like an earlier tank rush. Like he would go for these like more dedicated openers, which didn't do enough damage, and then he played from behind. But he like made a game out of it. Like he played from behind and he was competitive with Spirit. Eventually lost, but like basically every game he had to play from a deficit. It's like mate, just play standard.
Like he had to nerf himself to make it fair.
Yeah, like calm down, Quanta. Just play straight up. So that was kind of the dynamic that we saw between Quanta and Spirit.
You know what it is? It's because Honmono didn't make it to the playoffs. So Quanta was like, I got you.
True. So I do recommend it. It was a very entertaining series, especially Monty Hall and Troy as well. So really, really good games. What I will say is it maybe felt like maybe Quanta was overconfident. Maybe he felt like he could get away with like these more aggressive builds and he could like overwhelm and overcome Spirit and he'd be fine. But Spirit, he surprised Quanta. He surprised us as well with his formidable defensive play. Was able to survive, weather the storm, and of course bounce back. Meanwhile, we had Kiwian versus Uwu Thermal. Uwu Thermal, he has an interesting style. He basically had like a specialized, like I mentioned before that against Dark, he had like this 2x stim timing that he was going for. And he was doing the same build here as well. I want to say like 3 out of the 5 games went for the same build. So it did feel like Uthermal, he basically like mapped out like 1 or 2 different builds, and that's kind of what he stuck to. And it worked for the first 2 games. And then Kiwian figured him out. Then Kiwian, he was like, okay, I just have to play safe. I just have to calm things down. I have to respect the stim timing. And then Uthermal couldn't quite rely on that anymore.
Yeah, middle reverse sweep. Coming in there. Not the only one. Has a Mouso with a 3-point versus Classic. Which honestly could have been the finals.
It could have been. It could have been like 2 very strong players in StarCraft Evolution. 3-point game 1 and game 2. He cheesed the hell out of Classic. He cheesed the hell. It was very short. Very short couple of games. He cheesed the hell out of him. Then in game 3, Classic, he was playing it safe. So it was also on Troy, a much larger map. Did slow it down. And then Classic, he was able to get a handle on 3-point, able to basically get accustomed to the pace of 3-point, able to react, able to respond, able to bring it home in the end. So a very intense series between the two of them. Dark versus Shin. I recommend. Did you manage to catch any of it?
I did not, because again, the VOD.
True.
Well,
I mean, it is on
Raw. Yeah, technically the uncut VOD is on YouTube and Twitch.
True.
Why am I getting rid of my one excuse that I have?
So good. Dark vs. Jin was a lot of fun, to be honest. I mean, in general, like mirror matchups are always a lot of fun in StarCraft Evolution. But we saw some late game ZVZ that I've never seen before. Shin, it was on Sylphid. It was game 3 on Sylphid. Game 1 and game 2, we saw like 12 pulls. Like we saw like 13 12s and 12 pulls, just really fast game 1 and game 2. Game 3 was on Sylphid. We saw Shin end up in the mid game with Hydra Lurker Viper tech.
Ooh.
Dark, he found himself, he went Muta. I mean, he forced Hydras because he went Muta. He gained map control, he forced Hydras into Lurkers out of Shin. And Dark, he went Muta into Guardian. And we saw Guardian versus Hydra Lurker Viper. It was a very, very intense dynamic. We saw Shin yoinking Guardians into his Hydras, able to focus them down. I do think, looking at the dynamic between the two players, that Shin had never played against it. And I think he was also typing in chat as well. He was like, "What the hell's going on?" I don't think he's ever played against Mass Guardian before. I do think that because he was stuck with Hydras, I think that something like Infestor and Microbial Shroud would have been better, unironically. Like, there's no splash damage from Dark, and the Guardians themselves, like, it's again purely anti-air. It looked like Shin was trying to figure out how exactly to deal with Guardians, and he wasn't too sure how to. But it was just really cool to see, because it's like a unit interaction we haven't seen before.
So yeah, this is Brute War versus Brute War. The solution, obviously, is Scourge.
Yeah, I never. Yeah.
Yeah, but StarCraft 2. But with the StarCraft 2 units, that's a little bit tougher. I mean, Parabomb and Corruptors are the only thing I can really come up with. But so.
For sure. So, very intense series between the two of them, and it did seem like Shin was very I should say he just wasn't quite experienced in that kind of specific ZVZ scenario. So, with that, Dark did kind of snowball out of control. Dark likewise took down Classic, as you mentioned, and Dark, he won it in the end. He kind of brute forced his way through. But what I will say is that even in the games where he played Brood War like Dark, it looked like he had practice. Like, it looked like he had put in the work to actually like work out Brood War circuits well.
Yeah. I mean, let me try to remember. I don't remember if Dark actually ever played Brute War. I mean, I don't think he was a Brute War Pro or ever tried to go a Brute War Pro. I believe, which is more impressive, I would say.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really cool to see.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if I remember correctly, I think Dark actually got his start in esports with Slayers. Like, he was one of the last pros to join Slayers towards the end of Wings of Liberty, and then just from there, has mostly just played StarCraft 2.
Yeah, for sure. Again, Dark, he was one of the final sons of Boxer, if you will, coming into Slayers, and yeah, Dark, for him to look strong in StarCraft Evolution was very impressive. Again, I do recommend the VODs if you ever can check them out over on Twitch and on YouTube as well. I do recommend it. Some very fun, very intense series. Congratulations to Dark, winning it all in the end, as he is at least our full champion for SEL.
Indeed.
Sure.
Now we wait for winter.
True. Which of course is going to be in like February.
Now.
Uh-huh.
I think. I don't know. We don't have seasons. No, that's not true. I was gonna say we don't have seasons here, but we do.
Mm-hmm.
We have rain and a lot of rain.
Which season are you in right now?
A lot of rain. And
Okay.
It literally did not stop raining for 3 days. It got less heavy at times for like a couple of hours, but it was still drizzling. And then it went heavy again.
Fair enough. As that will lead us into the final event here of the week. That is the Wardy TV November tournament.
Yes.
If you recall, last time we were actually hosting the PondCast in the middle of Group D, the final group of the November event.
And because of that, I remember we didn't predict who we thought would make it to the finals. Instead, specifically, we wanted to predict whether or not we would have Max Pax versus Clem. Both of us were in agreement. It wasn't going to be Max Pax versus Clem, and so we're both correct.
Yeah, exactly. We both had that prediction here, and
it wouldn't have been anyway because
True.
Yeah.
I mean, at the time, the bracket wasn't seeded, so we didn't know that.
Yeah.
We didn't know where the players were placed. But some crazy results coming in here. Okay, I mean, there was a lot of TVTs off the bat. So we had Gumiho taking down Ryung. Impressive stuff there, as Ryung is known for being a TVT sniper. Scoring down in the round of 12. The villain arc continues, man. I'm telling you, this is Solo's origin story,
so close.
mate. What is this, like,
this
the
is
third,
probably
like,
the most
ZVP?
painful one for Solar because it's so close. One more map.
Went all the way to the ace match.
Mauer gonna Mauer.
It hasn't been Solo's week. I mean, Solo, he went down to Christiana, he went down to Nightmare, and now he goes down to Showtime in the first round. Oh boy, someone needs to give Solo a hug after this. He needs
a hug or a slap. Either one of the two.
No.
And I feel like the slap, he would give himself the slap. So yeah, somebody needs to hug him.
Definitely. As Showtime takes down Solar 3-2, big win here for Showtime. Clem takes down Spirit 3-1. Again, TVT. Clem has been working on it, of course, and does take down Piotr in that series. And Max Pax will take down his Protoss opponents here in the PvPs. But as a reminder, this event was held on. Oh no, sorry. I believe it was held on the PTR. Okay, it was held on the PTR. And Max Pax did show a little bit of weakness in the PvPs, but does come out on top over Trap and Hero.
He does. Once again, best PvP in the world, regardless of the patch, takes out Björn as well in those semifinals. Björn, who just took out Clem in a very close 3v2. Kind of trading wins here back and forth.
Yeah, Björn is one of those few Korean players that has been recently kind of getting Clem's number a little bit and has been competitive against him. Like when we think of the Koreans that have been able to take it to Clem, it's been Björn, it's been Shin, it's been Shrap as well. Like they even Zaun, like they have been able to make Clem bleed, and this time it was Björn.
Yeah. Definitely over in the upper quarterfinals. My heart breaks here as we were so close to Gumiho versus Showtime, but both of them get taken out by their respective opponents. Cure, once again, not to be underestimated, took out Gumiho 3-2. Very close series there. Went up against Shin, who beat Showtime in a fairly one-sided 3-0.
Yeah, Shin having very dominant results here in the quarterfinals and semis. He 3-0 Showtime, he 3-0's Cure as well. And then he made it to the grand finals. This is a rematch, of course. If you remember, Shin and MaxPax, they faced off in the finals of the Pegasaur Monday, went all the way to the ace match, and MaxPax did win. Here, didn't go to the ace match. MaxPax, he wins it 3-1. Shin did take a map, but MaxPax having a much more dominant result here against Shin in the finals of the World TV November.
Oh, yeah.
So this was MaxPax's week. He won World TV Monday, World TV November, and Pegasaur Monday as well.
Yeah, impressive stuff here coming up from MaxPax. We're going to see him continue it at Home Story Cup. Oh, wait.
He'll be in the audience.
Yeah, probably.
Probably.
That's my prediction. He'll be in the audience. No one will know until after the event.
There you go. There you go. I mean, again, impressive result here by MaxPax this week, winning 3 online tournaments. Again, it feels like it's been a while since we've seen this kind of dominant showing by MaxPax. Over the past couple of months, we've seen him fall, or we've seen other players rise in his stead. But at least this week, MaxPax is back in form. We'll see if that continues into the coming weeks, as we are now entering kind of a new era of StarCraft, a new season, a new patch.
It's gonna be December the next time we do a podcast.
Yeah, December.
We're coming to the end of the year.
We are.
Let's hope we get that big announcement, huh, from ESL.
True. I'm sure we will. But regardless, congratulations here to MaxPax. With that, that concludes all of our events here of the week. And we have, of course, more events to come here as we do go over the weekly open signups. We do have signups open for Passioncraft Thursday Showdown number 67, the Korean StarCraft League 64. True. Oh my god. Yeah, that is going to be in 3 hours. We have the KSL. You could. We have the KSL of the weekend. What I will say though is that I believe the KSL might be postponed because of Home Story Cup and other events taking place. So we'll keep an eye out for the KSL to see if it is going to be rescheduled.
I forgot to change that. Yeah, true.
Yeah, there we go. So it looks like it has been postponed, has been moved. We also have the Sunrise Cup 187. That's going to be in 2 days' time. We have the Player Open number 6. That is a Vietnamese-only tournament. Shout out to Pleiades, of course, for hosting that event and having the Vietnamese scene come together.
Yeah. Pleiades, not to be confused with Yam Nui.
Or Jackie.
Yeah.
There you go. As we scroll down, we have the Pegasaur Monday number 9. We have a Lim League next week as well in 4 days' time. Code for Giants Cup, STC, the Nation Turtle Tussle, and many more events. What I will say is that if you notice, there is no Wardy TV Monday announced yet, and I believe we're still going to wait and see if Wardy confirms the Wardy TV Monday for the month of December. Usually he does it at the start of the month. The reason for this is, of course, because we are waiting for the return of EPT. So if EPT announces that they're coming back with their weeklies, then Wardy will not be running his tournaments. So that's why he does it on a monthly basis.
ESL. We're approaching 2025.
We are.
I'm still processing 2020, but
oh no. But we do have that event on the horizon. We do have, I should say, the rest of the weeklies here ahead of us. And of course, more importantly, we have Home Story Cup. Home Story Cup is tomorrow as well. It is in less than 24 hours time. So make sure you tune in to the CranKy Ducklings here, as we will be the B stream for Home Story Cup.
Indeed. The first 2 days during group stage.
Yeah, the first 2 days. Of course, I'm going to be adjusting my sleep schedule. I'm going to force myself to stay awake. I'm going to go brew some coffee, and I'm going to make sure that I stay up and roll my sleep schedule to make sure that I'm lined up with Home Story Cup. Yeah, the day. With some Milo.
Yeah, double shot. Why isn't there a Dare Milo flavor?
This should be.
That seems like a crossover that should have Kit Kat crossover with Milo. Yeah.
Not wrong.
What's going on there, D?
My head.
Say it.
But what is happening. As yes, that's gonna be the plan here for the next weekend. For the next couple of days is gonna be non-stop Home Story Cup action. So make sure you're tuning into that. And again, exciting stuff to come here when it comes to seeing the best players in the world compete on the new patch. We got the best here. We got Cyril, we have Rainer, we have Clem, we have Showtime, we have Maru as well.
I would say Jumi, but I'm not sure if he's lacking the force. So we're gonna have to see. We're gonna have to monitor that.
Yes, we're gonna monitor for Jumi. We'll monitor Jumi, and we'll see what happens. Yeah, we'll take action. I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm not just saying that. I'm not just saying we're monitoring him and do nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
There you go. Happy AI. With that, we're done. With that, thank you so much for tuning in. We are wrapping up here for the week for this week's podcast. Again, there was a lot to go over. Didn't run too much over time. Just over 3 hours. Yeah.
Pretty standard.
Okay. For sure. Could have gone a lot longer. But yeah, with that does wrap us up. Yaku, we're nearing December.
We are.
Any plans for...
Steel called me out recently for not streaming this year.
Oh no. What did Steel say?
I think I was complaining about how because Twitch has their like automated description for when you don't put a description for yourself, which I didn't do. So Twitch has that automated description, and they're like, Yakuzaku1, well known for his art streams. And I'm like, I only do that once a year. So I was like, what's going on here? And Steel was like, but that's the only thing you did this year. It's like of note, so obviously they're gonna go for that. So I feel a little bit called out. Which is why I think you've convinced me, Light, in the pre-show. Riverdale reaction stream.
Oh god.
No, I'm not gonna do that. No. Reaction streams are dead. Nobody does those anymore.
Because they banned for it now. It's because
you can't get banned for it now. I should have started like last year or 2 years ago. Whenever that was the meta.
When StarCraft Remastered Brood War campaign stream? That's what I want to know.
That's what I want to know as well. I feel like I have to look into how long like the Brood War campaign is, because I don't want to just do it and then stop doing it. You know. Which I've done a lot in the past.
I mean,
a lot of single-player games I've done in the past have gone that way.
If you have like a solid time slot allocated to you, I mean, just like how in StarCraft there's like the Zurich campaign, the Burroughs campaign, and the Terran campaign. Yeah, it's split up into 3, so you can do the Terran campaign for StarCraft 1. There's 3 for StarCraft 1, and there's another 3 for Brood War.
But it's like in a different order, right? It's like Terran, Zerg, Protoss for StarCraft 1, and then StarCraft 2, it's Terran, Protoss, Zerg, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's different order, yeah.
Which I feel like Zerg should be the last one anyway, just because it's at the end of the alphabet, but
yeah. But yeah, potentially looking forward to future Echo stream, maybe.
Potentially, yeah. Either that or the good old reliable.
Of
Crab Champions. Maybe update. Well, we'll see. If I ever do stream twitch.tv/Yakuzaku1, I'll announce when I go live, or at twitter.com @EmperaYakuzaku, also on Blue Sky, yakuzaku.bisky.social. I think I believe I'm no longer invalid, or my handle is no longer invalid there. So yeah, that also the bot on !Discord in the chat. Well, it'll bring you to the CranKy Duckling server. I'm there. Light is there. Kuro is there. Steel Mold is there, calling me out of my lack of streams. And more importantly, the bot that announces when one of us is live is also there. So if I forget to announce when I'm live, the bot, as we covered.
There you go. We got you covered. We got you covered. Likewise, you can follow myself, Light_VIP on Twitch and Twitter. I will be streaming most likely tomorrow some ladder, some SC2 ladder.
I also forgot, Light also on Blue Sky, and if you want to follow Light, follow me. Because you can find Light's link to Light over on me.
True. I did just make a Blue Sky account. No wrong. I haven't used it yet, but potentially in the future. But yeah, I do stream throughout the week. At least I try to. This weekend is going to be quite busy with Home Story Cup. So I might actually not stream tomorrow. But if I do, it's going to be on my personal channel. I might stream later tonight as well, just because I have to force myself to stay awake. So I might do like a ladder stream or a Final Fantasy stream or something different. So I should be live on my channel later on tonight if I do decide to do that. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Our next cast here on the channel is going to be in less than 24 hours. It's going to be Home Story Cup. Likewise, after Home Story Cup, it's going to be 2 days of that event. Then we have our regular events here with the Bigger Star Monday, Wardy TV Mondays, Lima League, Code for Giants Cup. We have a very, very stacked week of StarCraft. Masters Coliseum qualifiers also start next week as well. So a lot of content.
Oh, yeah. Had a little bit of a lull in the off-season coming into this. A little bit of a lull towards the, I think they call it mid-autumn or mid-summer. You know, between the end of August and the beginning of now, December. But we're coming back, and we're coming back in full force. The floodgates are about to be open once more.
There you go. The floodgates will be open with that. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in. Again, every single week we do host the podcast to just bring you up to date with all the news, with all the tournaments of the week, and any other news surrounding StarCraft as well. We do our best. If we ever did miss anything, if you want us to cover anything, then do let us know over on Discord or in the chat. Let us know. We will do our best to cover it next week.
Indeed. We'll see you then.
Yeah, otherwise, see you guys next time. Until then, ciao.
Bella. And you say I'm not Italian.